Yo, 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 what's up? Good morning and a very happy Tuesday to you all. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in, making us a part of your starts, wherever, however you're listen or wherever you're listening to, or from, I should say, and however you're listening to us here this morning. Whether it's on those radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. You can stream us up online at sportstalk1051.com. Also got the app. Download that. Take it on the go. You got your video streams also up and rolling on YouTube here. And, of course, Alexa devices. Stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. All that's good stuff here. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Well, we're going to talk. We'll talk a little green and gold, little Packers as normal as we are entering the final 4 weeks. Now that we are officially on to Week 15, Chargers picking up a win last night over the Philadelphia Eagles. Not much changing on the NFC side of things in terms of the playoff seedings and such, but that was probably a game last night that was more important for the Chargers, because the Chargers moving to 9-4 in the fifth spot in the AFC side of things. Philadelphia is still remaining in that third seed for the postseason, but maybe kind of falling a little bit down. They got to be close. They might fall all the way down to a 4 seed, but nonetheless still winning their division and such. But anyways, since we're on now officially to Week 15 here and just 4 games left to go for this Packers regular season, I want to throw out a question to you Packers fans as we kind of take a look now at the Final Four. What do you think is the biggest question mark for this Packers team as we head into the Final Four to not only, win the division, but maybe secure one of those top spots in the standings for the NFC playoffs? What is maybe one thing that is still a concern, is still a question for you that you personally have surrounding this Packers team in the final 4 games left to go here? And let's be real here too. It's a tough Final Four. I mean, Denver, Chicago again, Baltimore, perhaps at that point in time, a very desperate Baltimore team. And then, of course, Minnesota to wrap it up in Minnesota, and you would love nothing more than, or the Minnesota Vikings would love nothing more than to maybe alter the Packers season at the end of the year. So, but we'll go through some of the comments from Matt LaFleur yesterday. Not a whole lot, as he addressed the media day after the game, after the win against Chicago and such. So not a whole lot there. Nothing really, earth-shattering or such. But he did say about Dontavian Wicks' ankle injury that he is day-to-day. Certainly we need him out there. He's a guy who you can see it early in the routes he's running. His ability to get the guy to move off the spot is pretty impressive. So, other than that, not a whole lot from Matt LaFleur yesterday. So, but again, we'll talk some green and gold here throughout this morning and such. But also on the docket, we're actually going to throw a little Brewers chat into this equation, into this morning's program, if you will, because Brewers, it's not a World Series title, but nonetheless, it's another honor. Brewers were named the Organization of the Year by Baseball America, and it is the 5th time that the Brewers have been named the Baseball America's Organization of the Year. The award debuted in 1982, and it recognizes an organization for success at the major league level, as well as in scouting, coaching, and other aspects of player development. Brewers, again, 5 times they've won this award. That is the most in Major League Baseball in the history of this award. The other years, they won it 3 years in a row, from 85 to 87, then again in 2018, and then 2025. But this comes on the the heels of the hot stove season. Winter meetings officially underway in Florida. So we'll go through some of the rumors that are surrounding Major League Baseball. We'll see if maybe some movement is out there, but not only is, winter meetings with GMs and owners and such, but this is where players and representation for the players talk to general managers and such, and kind of maybe for some of these instances, first face-to-face chats and such. Sometimes we get some decisions that are decided in this. Sometimes it's kind of quiet, but obviously Kyle Schwarber is going to be a big name out there. You've got Kyle Tucker. Pete Alonso is going to be one of the free agents that's going to be there in person at winter meetings and such. You got the draft lottery that's going to be taking place, I believe, later today and such. So a lot going on. It's kind of one of those it's kind of one of those moments in the calendar, in the baseball calendar, to kind of pay attention to and such. So, but we'll talk some baseball, and we'll talk some Brewers, including a little bit about Trevor McGill. Trevor McGill. We've been talking about what are the Brewers going to do with some of their starting pitchers like Freddie Peralta, but there is a rumor about Trevor McGill potentially drawing some interest from other teams. And, that it's a name that we haven't really talked a whole lot about. I mean, he was an all-star last year, but, when he had that injury, you had Uribe come in and perform well, and even, kind of taking that closer spot at the end of the season. So, I mean, all right, Brewers fans, would you be okay with Trevor McGill, who's 32 years old, as a potential trade candidate? And Joel Sherman of the New York Post reports that he's drawing interest from Yankees, Mets, amongst others. So that's maybe a name to kind of keep an eye out there, that maybe the Brewers will potentially look to move on from him and hand over the closing role to Uribe. Again, this fits a pattern that the Brewers have done over the years. So we'll talk some Brewers. We'll talk some baseball, hot stove season, winter meetings and such going on. We've got some Badger chat with Mr. RJ Cardinal coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, a couple hours from now. So we'll talk about the latest in Badger football recruiting. We'll talk some hoops, Badger basketball, both men's and women's. We'll talk some hockey. We'll talk some Badger volleyball and such. So lots to get to in the Wisconsin Badger world, especially with volleyball, because as we know, they advanced to the regional semifinals. They're going to be taking on Stanford. So we'll catch it up. We'll catch all up on Badgers with Mr. Cardinal coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Speaking of college basketball, we got to give a shout out to the Blue Gold basketball team, the Blue Gold men's basketball team, as they appeared in the top 25 rankings by D3 Hoops. So awesome. Off to an undefeated start to the season, 8-0. And the Blue Gold men's basketball team, again, why preseason polls most times don't matter. Again, predicted to finish towards the bottom of the WIAC conference. They are now ranked 22nd in the country, the Blue Gold men's basketball team. They'll be back on the court tomorrow at the Sontag Center, taking on the University of Northwestern in Minnesota. So what else do we got on the game plan here for us this morning? It is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what is grinding your gears? Now is the time to get it off your chest and hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Also, kind of dabbled into it yesterday, but now it is a Hy-Vee game changer of the week. Who was your game changer from the past week? Player. Again, it doesn't have to be a top 10 play. It doesn't necessarily have to be the best player, but it could be a certain play. It could be, maybe a role player. So we'll revisit that. I know we had some of them yesterday coming off that the Packers win, but you can go from a different game. You could go from last night's game if you're watching it. You could go to Basketball doesn't have to just be from the Packers. So if you got any other shout-outs you'd like to do for the Hy-Vee Game Changer of the week, hey, hit me up, okay? Also, yesterday, kicked it off on social media. Kind of forgot to do it on the air because we had a lot of Packers stuff. But we only now, counting this one, 11 shows until the end of the year. So we are doing our 12 days of Christmas for Wisconsin sports fans. On the second day of Christmas, we will reveal what we're giving Wisconsin sports fans. Yesterday was pretty simple with all the Giannis chitter chat that's going on out there. We gave Wisconsin sports fans a lifetime contract for Giannis to stay in Milwaukee, and everybody shuts up about Giannis leaving Milwaukee. So that's kind of where we were at for that one. So, but that's your game plan for us this morning. Let's pitter patter. Let's get at her, shall we? I want to hear from you this morning. Start to hit me up with texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. You can also join in on the video stream, the YouTube video stream out there. So we'll talk a little green and gold with 4 weeks left to go, 4 games left to go here for the Pack. What is the biggest concern? What is the biggest question that you maybe have for this team as we start to kind of wrap up this regular season and a big-time playoff chase, division race? Anything of concern for you, like a big concern that you think maybe this is the best way to kind of phrase it? What is the biggest question or unknown that you have from this team that would stop them from becoming a champion or getting to the Super Bowl? What is that for you? All right. Got a feeling it's probably going to be the interior defensive line play is going to be the majority. So give me a couple different ones out there, if that is also one of yours. Obviously, injuries is going to be a factor too. So I mean, let's take that one off because that's the case for everybody. So let's take injuries off the table. Okay. What else? All right. Let's get it going here this morning. We'll take our first break, and then we got the leadoff to get underway here this morning. We'll talk some football. We've got hoops. We've got baseball. We got college stuff. We got the mother load. Let's get at it. First break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. It's the best holiday ever going on right now at our website around the 715.com. If you want to enter to win some, maybe some tickets to some concerts, to some events, a bunch of different contests going up there. Just go to around the 715. I mean, there's Summer Jam tickets, there's Country Jam tickets, there's tickets for the Harlem Globetrotters gift card. If you want to win some gift cards and such, a bunch of different stuff over there, all listed up there. Got info on some holiday events, Christmas music, all that good stuff. So celebrate the holiday season with the best holiday ever, brought to you by Window World, Green Oasis Gardens, the District, REM Community Services, partnered with Savita Health, HG Megs, Northwestern Bank, EC Moving and Storage, SC Swiderski, TF Exteriors, and Nicolay Bank in Eau Claire and Lake Hallie. All right, so I was kind of curious to see what the Pro Football Focus grades were for the Packers in that Bears win on Sunday, and I got to admit I was kind of surprised on some of them, maybe not too surprised on the others, but just really quick, the top 5 offensive grades from the Packers in that win against the Bears, in case you didn't get to see them released. Jordan Love had the highest grade on the offense, and just the highest grade in general on any Packers for any Packers player in this game. 90.4. 90.4. Josh Jacobs was second with an 84.4. Christian Watson, 83.2. Lucas Musgrave, 77.5. And Zach Tom, 77.3. Your top 5 defensive players. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. Keyshawn Nixon had the highest graded performance, according to Pro Football Focus, of any Packers defender in that game. So 82.4. And it really, I mean, not that close to the second person on this list. Javon Bullard, 75.2. So that kind of caught, I was like, oh, okay. Evan Williams, third, 69.9. Baron Sorrell, 67.8. And then Carrington Valentine, 67.8 to round out the top 5. So who were the worst? Who are the worst graded players? Let's start with the offense. 4 of the 5 represent offensive line. So, I mean, you had Zach Tom as top 5 performer, then the rest of the offensive line showing up in the bottom 5. Anthony Belton, 50.6, had the worst. Romeo Dobbs, 52.9. Rasheed Walker, 61.4. Sean Ryan, 61.9. Aaron Banks, 64. Now, Banks had graded out was excellent as a pass protector in this grade, or in this game. He had an 81.1. But, kind of look at some of those numbers. I mean, Aaron Banks at 64 overall. Remember, an offense that kind of also tells you that there was probably a fairly good amount of offensive players that graded out fairly high or fairly decent in this game, because remember, Carrington Valentine was a top 5 defensive performer with a grade of a 67.8. Aaron Banks showing up on here as a 64, as the 5th worst offensive player. So kind of tells you offensively, Pro Football Focus was pretty high on a lot of offensive players for this game for the Packers going up against the Bears. Defensively, though, what do you think was the position group that got the lowest grades? If you said defensive line, ding, ding, ding. More specifically, interior defensive line. The top 4, or I should say the worst 4 graded players, all interior defensive linemen. Jordan Riley, the newcomer, 28.6. Yuck. Warren Brinson, yuck, 38. Colby Wooden, yuck, 39.1. Carl Brooks, yuck, 45.2. Not good. Not good. And then to round it out, Quay Walker, 51.1 as the 5th worst defensive graded player on here. So probably not too much of a surprise when you look at the worst graded defenders, the top 4, all interior defensive linemen. And that goes directly into the question I threw out there just a little bit ago. What is the biggest question mark? What is the biggest thing that you have for this Packers team in the final 4 games that maybe you feel like would hinder them, hold them back from making a deep postseason run, maybe even getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl? It is, to me, that interior defensive line. And I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I would imagine that's going to be the pick for a lot of people, especially with no Devontae Wyatt in here. Now, I know Devontae Wyatt wasn't graded as the best run stopper, okay? I mean, he was specifically known for stopping or pressuring the quarterback. That was his forte. It wasn't like he was this all-pro, all-world run stopper on the defensive line. But he was clearly their best interior defensive lineman. So losing him is just, by default, going to be a big loss for this Packers front. But going forward now, I think, you look at these next 4 games, and I kind of talked about it in the latest Green and Gold hard count video that's up on social media and such, YouTube and that. But going forward, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, I would imagine they're going to look at, okay, how do we attack this Packers defense? Okay, it's up the middle. Let's stay consistent with the running game. Continue to attack that. Chicago found success with that in the second half. I got to imagine that's going to be a big point of emphasis when it's Packers-Bears here again in less than 2 weeks. Baltimore, with their running game, you got Derrick Henry in that. That is going to be an emphasis. And then, obviously with the Vikings coming up in week 4 or in the final week 18. That is the biggest question mark. Can that interior front stop the run? I thought this was an interesting little nugget from Dan Orlovsky yesterday. I saw this he posted this up on Twitter and social media. But it was kind of an interesting statistic. I want to bring it so I get it right here. But yeah, Chicago entered. This was from Dan Orlovsky. Credit Halfley in the Packers defense, he says. Chicago entered the weekend with 6 more explosive runs than any team in football. They had 6 last weekend in Philly. That's runs of 10 or more yards. The Packers didn't give up any in that game on 32 attempts. So, again, explosive runs. They had Chicago throughout the season has had 54 of those for 10 or more yards. So great. Packers didn't give up any explosive runs of 10 yards or more. However, their longest run was 9 yards. So it's kind of like at one hand, great. Okay, they didn't give up an explosive, but it was 9. So, I mean, you're kind of almost nitpicking like 1 yard and such. So what is this maybe kind of tell us? I think one thing it kind of tells us is like, okay, the linebackers, the safeties, that second level did a fairly decent job in tackling and bringing down the ball carrier and not allowing a lot of big explosive runs from that Bears running attack. And yes, when you look at it, okay, they didn't give up a 100-yard rusher. So you credit, and a lot of it had to do with that first half of just slowing it down and stopping everything and not allowing that Bears offense to do anything. And also I think Packers offense, complementary football that we always talk about here. But it really kind of tells me the Coopers, the McDuffies and such, and the McKinneys and the Evan Williams, they did a good job in that second level after the running back was able to get through that defensive line of bringing down the ball carrier and not allowing these big explosive runs. And going forward, if this defensive line does not improve in stopping the run from the interior standpoint, those linebackers, those safeties, those defensive backs, They're going to have to be on their A game in the tackling department and not miss tackles and not give up explosive runs. Because if it's going to be, where the C's part in that interior, in that defensive front, those linebackers, those safeties, they're going to have to hit it hard. They're going to have to gang tackle. They got to bring down that ball carrier one-on-one in a lot of instances. And they cannot afford to have those ball carriers break any tackles. Because anybody who watched that game on Sunday too, I'm preaching to the choir here. We saw it. It was those running backs up the middle, able, a lot of times at ease, hit that second level, 4 or 5 yard chunks. Constantly putting Chicago in second, third, short situations. You have a mobile quarterback like Caleb Williams. That's almost like stealing candy from a baby, for crying out loud. You have a play caller like Ben Johnson. I mean, come on now. It's child's play. So this to me is going forward, especially if you kind of look at where we're at in terms of, the teams that potentially Green Bay could play in the postseason when we get there. And I know we got a few weeks to go here and, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But I would imagine, you look at these teams, and if they were to go up against Green Bay, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to attack the middle of the field. We're going to attack the middle. Both, we're not talking passing game, but that's obviously been an issue with the secondary too, the open middle of the field and the passing department, just keeping everything in front of them. But, if I'm right now, again, if the playoffs started today, it'd be Chicago coming back to Green Bay. If I'm Chicago, run it up the middle, run it up the middle. If I'm San Francisco, run it up the middle, run it up the middle. Seattle, running it up the middle. That's what I would do. That's what Green Bay in these next 4 weeks, these final 4 games, they got to figure out something. They got to figure out how do we get better. And I don't know if that's enough time. And it might just be simply, this is what they've got. This is what they are. And hopefully they can kind of combat it and get through it. That's kind of where we're at right now. I was kind of curious. I knew the Rams were a very, hot passing team. Where are they in terms of running the football? Okay, so yeah, Rams 123.9, just outside the top 10 and running the football too. So, you're talking about an offense over there. What else, though, is maybe a potential concern or a big question mark for you that you have about the Packers? Again, taking away health, taking away injuries, because you can make that a point for any other team. In terms of their play on the field, what is something else that concerns you? You have a question that you think, you know what? That to me is what's I think is going to hold Green Bay back from going to a Super Bowl. What is it? Let me know. Hit me up with some texts. All right. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more coming up after these quick words. 2 weeks from today, who's going to win the Feats of Strength at our Festivus for the Rest of Us show, I should say, from VFW Post 305 Star Avenue. Inviting all of you to join us from 6A to 10A. If you come by and say hi to Brandon or myself while we're doing the program, going to buy you a pint of Man Cave Lights. And then from 6A to 10A, VFW Post 305 is going to be doing $1 mugs for domestic, $2 mugs for craft beer from 6A to 10 a.m. So, Feats of Strength, we're going to get that going around 9 a.m. We'll do the airing of grievances probably right before that in the 8 o'clock hour and such. And I am going to put up a poll when we get closer who you all think I think I'm going to make it a Post Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question. Between C-Bomb and Surveyor, who is going to win? Who do you think is going to win? So think about that for a little bit, but put it on your calendars if you don't got to work, or maybe you got some time to use up, or maybe on your way to work you want to hang out and grab some breakfast. VFW Post 305 does amazing breakfast. They got eggs and corned beef and hash special on Tuesdays, so you can hang out with us for a little bit. Maybe grab some breakfast before you head into work for that day. All right, we've got kind of the question I've been throwing out there to open up things here this morning has been, what do you think is the biggest weakness or the biggest concern, biggest question, however I guess we want to phrase it here, that you have for this Packers team that you think will hold them back from winning a championship or getting to the Super Bowl? Jeremy says, my biggest concern for the Packers is the pass rush. After Parsons, Gary or Lucas Van Ness have to step up. Then offensive consistency. Several times this year, offense has spurts where they go silence. They can't have that. They don't need to score every drive, but they got to move the ball. Lastly, the interior line and the ability to stop the run. I would agree with the pass rush aspect of it. You know, Micah Parsons is there's obviously no concern with that and such, but you know, Rashawn Gary wise, I want to look up see if I can find it. I just thought of this. I got to look up some of his numbers in these last few games here, because I mean, he started off the season just on a smoke show. I mean, he was like, yeah, this is the reason why everybody thought he was going to have just this amazing year because of Micah Parsons. I mean, he beat that Detroit game. 7 total tackles, 1.5 sacks. I mean, he had 4 assists in that game. That first game of the year. Dude was on fire in fuego. Short week against Washington, he picks up another sack. Cleveland, 2 sacks. Dallas, he had 4 tackles, no sacks. Bengals, he was really quiet. 1 tackle, 1 assist. Arizona comes back, picks up a sack. Pittsburgh, he gets a couple sacks. That is the last time the Rashawn Gary has had a sack. You got to go back to October 26 against Pittsburgh. That is it. Carolina, nothing. 3 tackles. Philly, nothing. 4 tackles. Giants, nothing. 3 tackles. Minnesota, nothing. 3 tackles. Detroit, nothing. 2 tackles. Chicago, nothing. 2 tackles. Whew. Yeah, we need something more from him. I mean, he was on pace to set career highs and finally get double-digit sacks this year, and he's got 4 games left to go to get 2.5 more to get 10 on the season. Ugh. I mean, stuffs-wise, I mean, this is a stat. Stuffs, okay? Stuffs. Last stuff he had was against the Giants. 1. And then before that, none against Philly. He had half of 1 against Carolina, none against Pittsburgh, none against Arizona, half against Cincy, none against Dallas. What is there something else going on with Rashawn Gary? I don't know. What's his Pro Football Focus, Gary? What is Pro Football Focus grade Rashawn Gary right now? I got to know how do they view it? Okay, so they got him as a 67.1, which is 52nd amongst 112 qualifying defensive ends. Okay. What's Barre right now? Not far off, 63.3, 59th. All right, interesting. But yeah. It's definitely been disappointing. There's no question about it. So I would agree. The pass rush outside of Micah Parsons. And honestly, with the whole Lucas Van Ness thing, I don't know when, if we're going to see him. I hope, but I mean that foot injury has definitely been a big bugaboo for him. And I think I look at these next 4 games as a incredible opportunity for Enoch Barre. With no Lucas Van Ness, you're going to – I mean, this is an opportunity for him for these next 4 to make some pay. I saw a comparison yesterday, and I thought it was an interesting comparison. Enoch Barre finishing up his last year on his rookie deal and, obviously been a rotational player and such. The comparison I saw to him at this point and heading into free agency is Zadarius Smith. And I'm like, ooh, that's a spicy comparison. Guys, remember, Zadarius Smith, kind of a rotational player with Baltimore, signs the big deal with Green Bay. And if that's the case, then that might price him out of returning potentially to Green Bay. But I'm like, ooh, that's an interesting comparison. Somebody that, with a bigger opportunity might go out there and make some pay. Good for him if he does get that chance. So, but what are some of your other questions, concerns? Let us know. Okay, hit me up with a text or comment on the video stream. I got some Jordan Love numbers here too that, again, I think maybe this is directed more towards people who still aren't Jordan Love believers or such. But you look at, and these are I always get nervous with these type of comparisons because different times, different eras, surrounding cast and such. But I think it's always kind of interesting to look at. So Aaron Rodgers' first 45 games as a Packers starter. He had a 64.5% completion percentage, 11,761 yards, 81 tuds, 30 interceptions, 98.5 rating. Jordan Love, slightly better in the completion percentage, but nothing significant, 64.7. 10,576 passing yards. So, I mean, you're talking 1,000 less. 79 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, 98.8 rating. And then you got this quarterback grading and efficiency. Through week 14, number 1 quarterback in all of football right now. In terms of efficiency, Jordan Love. And he is second in Pro Football Focus grading, it looks like. But efficiency, number 1, over Drake May, over Matthew Stafford, over Josh Allen. Yeah. So, there you have it. Let me throw out, I know we still got 4 more games left to go here too. But maybe this is a topic for another day this week or a little bit later on. But I've been seeing this kind of pop out here too, since we're talking about some numbers. Matt LaFleur has 76 wins in 7 seasons. That is the most by a head coach in NFL history in 7 seasons. I'll have to double check that, but that is something. Yeah, 76 wins in 7 seasons. And earlier on, and I was one of them too, like, okay, how is he on the hot seat? Is he, is it getting warm? I mean, what's a Matt LaFleur status? Now, you look at these last few games, undefeated in division. How do you maybe kind of, has your attitude, has your mindset changed a little bit on Matt LaFleur. And if you're one of them that was always on the Matt LaFleur bandwagon, does this solidify it for you so far? 76 wins, 36 losses. That's a win-loss career percent of 677. Playoffs, yeah, under 500, 3-5. Maybe kind of ponder that. I don't know if we'll get to that today, but maybe something to look at. All right, we got to take one more break to wrap up the first hour. Flying on through here. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Winter activities are here. Skiing, snowboarding, ice skating. Are you ready? Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here to help you stay active and injury-free this season. From sports injuries to joint pain and arthritis, their experienced specialists provide personalized care and advanced treatments to get you back on the slopes or the ice quickly and safely. Don't let winter keep you on the sidelines. Schedule your appointment today by visiting cvosm.com. Also, hey, we're in that winter storm warning, depending on, again, where you're listening to us from, but Eau Claire area and such. So it is a good reminder to pay attention to our website, sportstalk1051.com, for the WEAU 13 News First Alert School Closings, brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. So, again, tomorrow morning might be a good time to stay tuned to our website to see those latest closings and maybe some delays here, too, depending on the timing of this winter storm that we're going to be having over there. So, again, pay attention to that. For the WEAU 13 News School Closings and Delays, brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. I want to talk a little bit more about this Matt LaFleur opinion, perspective, however we want to call it here. C-Bomb with because I don't have enough time at the top of the hour here, and it might be my Toyson Ford grind my gears. But we've got C-Bomb saying, first, a lot of text from C-Bomb here. Defending champ will not go quietly. Get your Tums ready, Surveyor. I'll say this, C-Bomb. I think you should be the early betting favorite. I think you should be because, sorry, Surveyor, I'm going to call you out. You did tap out pretty quick last year. So, just saying. I'm hoping that maybe you did some Rocky training for the full year and you're ready to go again, but I don't know. C-Bomb also says the 76 wins solidify my stance on LaFleur. I've been backing this dude all along. You want to get me going on a Grind My Gears Tuesday? Let's talk about the entitled Packers fans that are complaining after every single loss that LaFleur's got to go and Jordan Love is trash. The words that I have to describe those people are not in the Webster's Dictionary. We have a phenomenal head coach and a phenomenal quarterback. Only one team wins the Super Bowl every year, and it takes talent and some luck to get it. Be careful what you wish for, people. For those that did or might even still want one or either of them gone, my question is, who do you replace them with? What is your better option? I will wait. I've got things to say about Matthew LaFleur coming up past the top of the hour. I'll save my comments for that. But just kind of looking at some of the numbers. Look, okay, so I'll say this. Let me tee it up. Right now in the division, in the NFC North, is Matt LaFleur the best head coach? If you had to power rank him right now, 1 through 4, is Matt LaFleur the best NFC North head coach? If we just look at it straight up from division. So I'll tee it up, and we'll hit it up coming up past the top of the hour here. Just don't factor in personality or anything like that. That I don't give a rip about because I don't think that determines overall success and such. Straight up resume. NFC North, Matt LaFleur, number 1. Compared to Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, and the dude in Chicago. All right. I'll wait for your text. We'll wrap it up with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
You don't think personality determines success on the sidelines?
No.
Yes, it does. How? Look at anybody that is coaching and has the respect of a team behind them. There's that little extra nondescript X factor when you want to play for the coach.
I'm talking personality where fans say how he talks in the media and such. That does not determine wins or losses.
It matters.
No, it doesn't.
I definitely think it does.
No.
I think the same for players. I think that there's an important component of character and personality.
We're talking about two different things, I think, right now.
I think it's all intertwined.
No.
I think it's all intertwined. And if resume by itself spoke volumes, then Aaron Rodgers would be likable.
But I don't think there's any debate that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best players of all time, but you don't like his personality.
And I'm saying if he had a personality in addition to that, he would be a better player.
No.
He would be a better athlete. He would be a better player.
I think that would not put Aaron Rodgers as a better player. He's already a great player.
It's non-tangible augmentation of a skill. It's having that something extra that makes people look up to you. That gives you status.
That's from likability stuff.
But
that's a fan thing.
You can't manufacture that. It's inherent in who an athlete is.
I'm
or
not
isn't.
arguing that, but I don't think that's the overall what determines whether somebody's a great coach or a great player. If somebody takes ayahuasca and you don't agree with it or not,
I think it matters. I definitely think it matters. It is worth examining, and it is worth noting that if there are two people that look on paper to be well matched and equal, the person that has that extra skill, that character, the leadership, the likability, will inevitably have a better team.
So you don't think Aaron Rodgers is one of the best all time because of that?
I think he is on paper and resume building one of the best in terms of stats.
That's the question.
But in terms of if I had to pluck somebody to put on the best of list, that will keep him off of it longer because he's not likable.
Second hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning of December 9th. Hey, if you have not voted yet in our 715 Speaks post-glass and mirror poll question that we put up every night on the Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page, you still got some time here. I'm kind of curious. This is actually it's fairly close right now, but on the heels of Jeff Kent getting into the Hall of Fame. we put up a poll question out there. Do you think Barry Bonds, take Pete Rose out of this, okay? I'm not adding Pete Rose to this. Let's take him out, okay? I'm looking at the steroid players. Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? Right now, 59. It's still too close to call. 59% say yes. 41% say no. If you did vote, give me your reasons why not. I'm curious. I'm curious to get your thoughts why you think one way or the other. And just let's just keep it very, very generic at this point. Like I don't want to get into a conversation or a debate about whether they should add a separate wing, the steroid era or such. Just flat out, simple question. Do the Barry Bondses, do the Roger Clemens, and do the Alex Rodriguezes of the world belong in the Hall of Fame? Should they have been in the Hall of Fame? Pete Rose, not a part of this conversation. Talking steroid players, okay? Just straight up. Just straight up. So, let me know. 715-830-1912 with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So, all right. So another question I've kind of been throwing out there, and I might actually make this a post glass and mirror poll question later on tonight. Given where everything's at this point in time with this Packers season, 4 weeks left to go, Green Bay top spot in the NFC North, 9-3-1. They're second seed right now in the NFC playoffs. Half game back from the Rams for first place. And I think you throw Seattle in there too because they're up there. But Matt LaFleur, obviously, just not that long ago, a few weeks ago, he was kind of, under some questioning, under some fire, under some what's going on? Like, should he be on the hot seat? Was he, what's his status like for his job security? And I kind of want to revisit that a little bit. And I want a simple breakdown, power ranking breakdown in this. Is Matt LaFleur the top coach, the best coach right now in the NFC North? If you had to power rank them, is he the best coach in the NFC North? Right now. Right now at December 9th, 2025, heading into week 15 of the NFL season. Is he number one? Why or why not? Why or why not do you feel that way? So far, he's 76-36 and one tie. That is a win-loss percentage of 677. If you compare it to other coaches within his division. So, by the way, this is a long ways to go here. But in case you were wondering, Matt LaFleur in NFL history, okay, 12th best win percentage currently. But he's in his 7th year, okay? I mean, if you kind of look at it, Nick Sirianni's 7th best, Jim Harbaugh's 8th best, okay? But just throwing that out there. But if we look at other coaches within his division, within the NFC North, okay? Kevin O'Connell has a 609 win percentage through 4 years. He's 64-39. Okay, 64-39. If you're looking at, let me bring up 0-2 in the playoffs. 0-2 playoff record. Okay? By the way, Matt LaFleur, his playoff record, 3-5. Under 500. Dan Campbell, 565 win percentage, 2-2 in the playoffs. Ben Johnson, first year, 9-4. So, would you who's number right now? Maybe the other question is, who do you trust the most to lead your ball club? To me, it is Matt LaFleur. I would power rank him number one. I mean, I know people are probably still going to say Dan Campbell. People are probably still going to go and throw him out there as number one. Which that's fine. That's your opinion. But, I mean, you look at what's going on right now this year, and obviously, yes, they lost two good coordinators. Two really good coordinators. And, you know, you look at Dan Campbell, he's taken over the offensive side. I mean, if we're going to, you know, because a lot of Packers fans, you know, they'll use that reasoning too when it comes to Matt LaFleur. Well, it's his responsibility. He's the overall secret. You know, if you talk about coordinators or such, you know, especially when it's become the defensive side of things, right? Their defensive coordinator. Well, that's the responsibility of that coach. Well, it's the responsibility of Dan Campbell at the same time too, right? To find those replacements for those coordinators. And right now, Detroit's on the outside looking in. Not that much difference in terms of playoff records. I mean, Detroit one and done last year as a 1 seed. Before that, right, they picked up a win, then they lost that huge lead in the second half against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. So if you look at numbers-wise, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that if you had to power rank him, LaFleur wouldn't be number one, in my opinion. So, but I guess maybe that's a better tell me I'm wrong at this point. Ben Johnson, it's way too early. It's way too early. But I'd probably put him at 3. Kevin O'Connell, I think, you know, he's defending Coach of the Year. But you look at, and I don't know, and I'm not trying to pick on Minnesota right now. I think Kevin O'Connell is a really good coach. In fact, I think every one of these coaches in the NFC North, each team has very good head coaches. I think a lot of other teams in this league would love either one of these coaches. And I think all 4 of these teams are probably counting their lucky stars or thinking that they've got these coaches in place. And I think Kevin O'Connell was kind of dealt a shorthand when it got to the quarterback situation. You know, I kind of look at the front office and such, and I don't know how much Kevin O'Connell had a say in the quarterback. I would hope that he was, you know, got his opinion was heard and such, and maybe his opinion was like, no, we're ready to go with McCarthy. And if that is, then okay, that does take a little bit of a knock. But at the same time, you know, if he wasn't, and this is the hand he was dealt, I mean, I think that was probably not the smartest move from the front office aspect to kind of protect them by having a more established backup quarterback. I know they tried with Daniel Jones. I know they tried, you know, and it's just they didn't have another option, or they foobarred it. But I think, you know, going forward, the development of J.J. McCarthy is going to be a big item on Kevin O'Connell's resume going forward, just like it is for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Dan Campbell's a little bit different. You know, they brought in a veteran with Jared Goff. That was more of just like, okay, we got to change the culture around here with Detroit, and he's done a fantastic job with it. All 4 coaches are doing a fantastic job or have done a fantastic job. But if I had to power rank him, I'm still putting LaFleur at number 1 in this division. All right, let's talk a little baseball here. Okay, we got winter meetings going on. Let's talk about some of the rumors. Trevor McGill, is he on the trading block for the Brewers? We'll hit that up and some other rumors going on as winter meetings are underway in Major League Baseball. We'll take a quick break, but continue to join the conversation. We'll get to your comments coming up a little bit later on. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Make your holidays merry and bright with a trip to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From fresh holiday hams and turkeys to seasonal produce, bakery treats, and all your favorite pantry staples, Hy-Vee has everything you need for festive meals and gatherings. The friendly staff is ready to help you find those perfect ingredients, and weekly specials make holiday shopping easy on your budget. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, bringing freshness, value, and holiday cheer to your kitchen this season. All right, let's switch gears here for just a little bit. I do want to talk some baseball here this morning as the winter meetings going on, those infamous winter meetings down in Florida where maybe some deals are to be had and such. But you got, pending big name free agents, visiting teams, and all that good stuff, right? But Brewers-wise, a couple of notes. So first off, yesterday, the Brewers were named Baseball America's Organization of the Year, and it's the 5th time they have been named as the best organization of the year by Baseball America since the award first started in 1982. They actually won it 3 times in a row from 85 to 87, then won it again in 2018, and then in 25. What this award recognizes is it recognizes an organization for success at the major league level, as well as scouting, coaching, and other aspects of player development. So obviously, I think you look at it, probably, as Adam McCulvey noted, acknowledgement for a club punching above its weight while chasing a championship. And I think that sums it up perfectly. It's not necessarily the team that ended up winning the World Series, the Dodgers, this year. It's a team that, okay, you look at it from all aspects of the Brewers, again, rising above expectations, defying expectations, most wins this season by any Major League Baseball team. It makes sense for the Brewers. So it's not a World Series trophy, obviously. That's the main prize in this whole thing. But, given that Pat Murphy, National League Manager of the Year, Matt Arnold, obviously with his awards, and now with this, it's a good recognition. So, but the big thing now going on in Major League Baseball world is what we were just saying, the winter meetings. And a lot of talk has been about Freddie Peralta. Is he going to be on the move? Teams are inquiring about him. But another name that we really haven't mentioned as a possibility that could be on the move is Trevor McGill. And according to Joel Sherman of the New York Post, he says that Trevor McGill is drawing interest from an even wider number of clubs. And that includes the Yankees and the Mets. And really, when you kind of think about it, it makes sense that why teams may be calling the Brewers about Trevor McGill for a couple different reasons. One, Trevor McGill is estimated for arbitration. He's estimated about $6.5 million for 2026. That's an estimation, okay? That is an increase in pay from the year prior. He's got 2 more years of arbitration eligibility. So he's also 32. He's 32, going to be 33. But you look at last year and what happened down the stretch. So Trevor McGill was an all-star last year. Fantastic player, big part of the success from the Brewers last year. But what happened? It was Uribe stepping into that spot when Trevor McGill. Uribe looked fantastic in that role. And even when Trevor McGill came back, they kept Uribe in that role. And I think that was probably maybe one of the last notches, because let's rewind it a few years ago in the middle of the season, and I'm one of them too. And I know I'm not the only one, because we talked about it. It's like Uribe has great stuff, but does he make you nervous sometimes out there? Yeah. Do you trust him in some big time moments all the time? You're a little bit nervous in that area. You're like, ugh. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, Sometimes it felt like it was just like making things a little bit more difficult at times. But he passed a lot of those tests last year. And I think that maybe kind of opens up this possibility even more. You know, you factor all this in, an increase in pay. About $6.5 million is the estimation on Spot Track for arbitration for Trevor McGill. Uribe taking that step, I think, last year, going into that closing role, gave the team a ton of confidence. Ton of confidence that they can insert him into that closing role. And you just kind of look at the history of closers for the Brewers. It's always kind of been like, okay, their setup guy has then kind of graduated into that closing role, right? I mean, the Haters. Josh Hader developed into it. Devin Williams, developed into it. The list kind of goes on and on. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trevor McGill is potentially traded here. Honestly, I feel like that may be more likely than Freddie Peralta at this point. And I get it. I understand it because a lot of factors in play here. But it's a name that I think we kind of just didn't assume, didn't think about. But it's like, but when you do think about it, when you kind of take a step back and you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm not saying I want the Brewers to trade him. I think, Trevor McGill, obviously having him on and the experience that he provides, and when he's on, he is on. And to have that back end of that bullpen is such a huge, huge, huge relief. And, if you graduate Uribe to the full-time closer, now you're like, okay, who is a setup guy? How does the 7th and 8th inning work? Who's going to go into those roles, right? Who are going to be those guys? Could it be a Craig Yoho coming up and, is he a long relief guy? Is he going to be a back-end type of guy? Aaron Ashby's probably going to be a little bit more of the middle long relief type of person, but it's almost like, I've got the confidence in the Brewers to be able to find that guy because they've did it consistently. They've always been able to find those guys, especially in the back end. Set up closer guys. Maybe it's somebody that's not on this roster. But to me, it kind of points like, yeah, all signs point to potentially this happening. I think that if I were to rank the potential moves that the Brewers are going to make in terms of players they were going to trade off their roster, I'd probably put McGill as the top one, to be honest, because it makes more sense. But again, I'm not hoping for it unless they get something like insane in return. Like, I don't know. I would imagine it's probably going to be, well, I mean, what'd they get for Devin Williams? They got Caleb Durbin and a starter. So, I mean, I don't know if they would get that much in return for Trevor McGill. But, I mean, you potentially could get a position player right away, or you could get another pitcher in return, like a starter or such. So I'm kind of curious to see what, and especially since he is under arbitration for the next couple of years here too. It's not like he's going to be a free agent like Devin Williams was. But I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to be, if that is going to be the return. So, but other than that, I mean, when we get to or with winter meetings going on, I think it's going to be quiet when it comes to the Brewers. I really do. I don't think we're going to expect anything to pop out. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of focus on Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, Kyle Tucker, big names. And this is the time too with these winter meetings that some of these guys, hey, they're good. This is where teams meet these free agents. I thought it was kind of interesting to hear Dave Dombrowski, not Dave Dombrowski, but the Tigers. I'm thinking he used to be with the Tigers. But the Tigers president of baseball operations, Scott Harris, said there is no untouchables. No untouchables on this team, saying he's not really doing his job, and if he's not listening and such. And obviously, for teams that are potentially interested in Tariq Skubal, their ears might have perked up a little bit. Maybe they kind of perked up. It's like, oh, the Tigers president is saying there's no untouchables on this roster. So maybe they're willing to listen on Skubal. Pete Alonso, too, I think is going to be an interesting name to follow. Apparently, he's got sit-down meetings with the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Hey, I would love this guy if all things were even and money-wise. I'll be honest, Pete Alonso, I wouldn't mind him in Milwaukee. We want a power bat at one of the corner spots. He just turned 31. He hit 272 with 38 homers, an 871 OPS. That guy would fit well in Milwaukee if I had any say in it. Yes, I know Andrew Vaughn was a great story last year, but are we ready to rock and roll a full year as Andrew Vaughn is the full-time starter at first base? I don't know, but Pete Alonso's bat, that's a little bit more consistent. I would like that in Milwaukee, but he's going to get PAID somewhere, paid handsomely. So, all right. Hey, let's take a quick break. What's grinding your gears, though, peeps? It's a Toyson Ford grind at My Gears Tuesday. It's also a Hy-Vee game changer from the past week. Who was a player, who was a play that was some game changers for you. Doesn't necessarily have to be from the Packers. Can be from a different game or a different sport. So hit me up with those. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more coming up after these quick words. This holiday season, giving your home a fresh new look with Carpet City Flooring Center. How about giving your home a fresh new look with Carpet City Flooring Center Eau Claire? Excuse me, man. Whether it's cozy carpet for the living room, stylish luxury vinyl planks for the dining room, or maybe some durable vinyl for some high traffic areas, Carpet City Flooring Center has the perfect flooring to make your home warm and welcoming for family and friends. Their experienced team will help you choose the right style, guide you through measurements, and provide professional installation, making it super simple to get your home ready without the stress, with quality products, fair pricing, and services that you could trust. Carpet City Flooring Center has been helping homeowners in the Chippewa Valley transform their spaces for years. Don't wait. Stop by today and see their wide selection. You can also check out Carpet City Flooring Center at their website, carpetcitywi.com. All right, so let's do our Hy-Vee game changer for the week. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit last week, or yesterday after that Packers game. C-Bomb a little bit earlier says, my game changer goes to the Stripes. Luke Musgrave's diving attempt would have changed the entire narrative of that game. I don't believe there was sufficient evidence to overturn the call on the field. That play in Green Bay's drive is... With that play, Green Bay's drive is sustained and can continue to go down and score. Chicago would not have been able to run the ball like they did the rest of the game after that play had Green Bay even gotten a field goal. Just to kind of revisit, because I mentioned my two game changers yesterday. Player and play. I think you could say the same thing. One was Josh Jacobs' run on 3rd and 1 to extend a drive and ultimately led to a touchdown there, because it looked like that was going to be a TFL, a tackle for loss, or at least at the line of scrimmage. And how he got through, I mean, that was a big play. And then Enoch Barre's play on the 3rd and 1, on the 3rd and short, to stop that at the line of scrimmage, that was huge. That was a huge, huge, huge play that will not show up in the stat sheets, that will not show up in the top 10 play, but it had a major effect on the game. Because if Chicago picks up that first down, it kind of changes the game plan there. So Enoch Barre's play, that tackle was huge. Perhaps game-saving, game-defining. So those are my two game-changing plays. Players/plays for my Hy-Vee game changer of the week. Make your picks by hitting us up with a text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. If you're just joining us, kind of an informal poll question we're throwing out there. Threw out there a little bit earlier. Is Matt LaFleur right now the best coach in the NFC North? Why or why not? Give me your reasons why. Why or why not do you believe Matt LaFleur is the best coach right now in the NFC North? Staying with football, so perhaps one of the biggest stories in football here is Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers' potential comeback. Jeremy Fowler just posted that Phillip Rivers worked out with the Colts last night on Monday night. Threw the ball well. We'll see what's next. Colts, desperate. Desperate right now. With the Daniel Jones injury. Anthony Richardson's unavailable too. Colts desperate for some quarterback help. And a guy who is up for a Hall of Fame this year, Phillip Rivers, Hall of Fame finalist, okay? So it's been a while since we've seen Phillip Rivers on the field. The dude is a grandpa. Legit grandpa right now. They're desperate. And the Colts have a very tough test to go over to Seattle this week to take on the Seattle Seahawks. 10-3 Seattle Seahawks team. Or is it 10? Yeah, 10-3. After that, I mean, then the Colts, they got the 49ers. After that, Jacksonville. After that, the Texans. I mean, those 4 games right now for the Colts are just insanely tough. I get it. They're desperate. They want to get back into the playoff chase. They want to get in this hunt. They feel like they have an opportunity to do so, but I don't know if Phillip Rivers is the answer. And I get it. There's some slim pickings out there. Okay, we know that. There's some slim pickings out there. But I guess on one hand, I give him credit for trying. Not just kind of like, oh, well, our season's done. Let's close up shop, fold it in. Sorry, guys. So I mean, at least I give him a little bit of credit for throwing a dart out there and seeing where it lands. But can you imagine though? This would be like one of the most epic. This would be made into a movie if Phillip Rivers comes in after missing how many years, being out of the game for 5 years, close to 5 years. He's a grandpa. Saves the Colts season, gets them to the postseason against this schedule. There's going to be Hollywood producers already that are willing, or that are going to be lining up to buy the script of that. That will be made into a Disney movie sooner rather than later, or a Netflix movie. It will honestly be one of the better stories in sports. All kidding aside, though, like just throwing a what if into this. If Phillip Rivers does this, he comes back and plays right away. Hell, even plays this weekend against Seattle and somehow leads this Colts team to the postseason. That is a pretty cool story, all kidding aside. It's pretty cool. And honestly, it would, I think, lock his Hall of Fame chances. It adds a little bit more to the resume. Now, I believe it would reset his time frame. Reset another 5 years, but I kind of wanted to see it happen. I kind of want to see this happen. I want to see Phillip Rivers come in and lead this Colts team to the postseason. Why not? Why not? That'd be kind of cool. All right, we got to take our final break here, but what is grinding your gears, peeps? Let me know. Text it on over, 715-830-1912. Rick says, I'm assuming this is your grinding gears, Rick. He says, mine is the holding on Parsons. Just imagine if they started calling it, how many drives would stall. His dominance is being squashed by all the no calls. I think that's a fair point, too, because how many of those drives on Sunday were first down pickups by the Bears? Those drives and Green Bay's defense is probably off the field. And they're not gassed. They're not exhausted. How many times have we talked about penalties being a killer to Green Bay's offense and them shooting themselves in the foot? That would have eliminated a lot of those drives from Chicago's standpoint. So I think that is a fair point, Rick. And that's if that is your grind my gears, I think that is a very good grind my gears. So what else you got? Send them on over. Okay. We got Badger Chat coming up next hour with RJ Cardinal. Lots to catch up on with Mr. Cardinal. Volleyball, hockey, hoops. We'll touch on all of that with RJ coming up at about 8:20 this morning. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up the second hour coming up after these quick words. Make holiday shopping simple this year with a stop at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. From premium hand-cut roasts and holiday hams to perfectly seasoned brats, fresh ground beef, and all your favorite meats, Mike's has everything you need to make your holiday meals unforgettable. Stock up for family gatherings, gift great local flavor, and enjoy the quality and service that only a hometown market delivers. Mike's Star Market, bringing fresh local goodness to your holiday season. Again, continue to send me your Grind My Gears Tuesday, your Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday, also your Hy-Vee game changers for the week. Continue to hit me up with those with a quick text, 715-830-1912. And kind of another informal kind of poll question we threw out there was, a lot of talk with the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, with Jeff Kent getting in there. And we made it a post-glass and mirror 715 Speaks poll question for our Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page, but we just simply asked, should Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Roger Clemens be in, or should they have already been in the Hall of Fame? And if you already voted on there, give me a reason. Give me a reason why you believe the way you do. Yes or no, and why. Explain your work. Explain your reasoning. So last I checked, it was 59%. 59% said yes. 41% said no. Let me see if I can bring it up really quick. The latest updates on the poll is, 60% say yes, 40% say no. So why? Why or why not? Let me know. Also, another kind of informal poll question I threw out there was, talk a little bit about Matt LaFleur and that. 76 wins through seven seasons so far. I mean, still off to a ridiculously good start in terms of wins in the regular season to begin his coaching career and such. And, all the talk about Matt LaFleur's job security and such. So I just said, throw out there, is Matt LaFleur right now just in the conference or in the division, the NFC North, is he the best coach in the division? Surveyor says LaFleur has been and always will be the best head coach in the NFC North. Campbell is a motivator of men, but not a play caller. Well, he's calling plays right now. Kevin O'Connell is a play caller, but not a motivator. Ben Johnson hasn't even been in the league as a head coach for a full season. I said it a few weeks ago when people were calling for LaFleur's head, but he has the 12th greatest win percentage in the NFL history. He took Jordan Love, who everyone wanted gone, made him into a top 5 quarterback in the league. He went through turmoil over the Rodgers debacle and only led his team to a playoff win in Dallas and one bad pass from another NFC Championship game. Let's stop acting like there are greener grasses on the other side and realize we have it pretty dang good at 12-65. He's not only the best coach in the NFC North, best coach in the NFC. All right. Do the rest of you peeps agree with Surveyor? Best coach in the NFC above. Let's just throw out some names in the NFC, shall we? Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan. I'm going off the top of my head. You can go Nick Sirianni. I know he's got a higher win percentage. You got McDonald over there in Seattle and a couple years into it. Schottenheimer, no. Giants, they're looking for a new one. Dan Quinn, no. So at NFC South, Clement, no. Todd Bowles, Atlanta. Okay. I mean, I'd throw LaFleur easily top 5 in the NFC. I think we could have a good conversation, debate between him, McVay, Shanahan. I mean, I think you do have to – I have my questions about Nick Sirianni, but I think if we're going to use numbers don't lie, you got to throw him in there based off win percentage and a championship. You got to throw it in there. Although I do think having the coordinators that he did last year really helped. But if we're going to use numbers don't lie as a reason, I think you got to throw it in there. So – but it is interesting. I mean, you look at, Okay, so if you throw Shanahan in there, you throw McVay in there, and you throw LaFleur in there, obviously all from the same exact tree, that coaching tree. So, do you agree with Surveyor? I'll throw it out to the rest of the people. I like it when Surveyor comes out and makes a bold statement. Is Matt LaFleur the best coach in the NFC right now? Yay or nay? NFC North, yay or nay? Let me know. We'll talk some more green and gold throughout in the first hour, in case you're just joining us too and you missed the first hour. The biggest question mark that maybe you have surrounding this Packers team with these final 4 games left to go. Like, what do you think is the biggest question mark, maybe the biggest concern that you feel like ultimately could hold the Packers back from winning a championship or going to a Super Bowl? What do you think is the number one thing? To me, mine was the interior defensive line play. And you look at the Pro Football Focus grades. 4 of the 5 worst grades on the defensive side for the Packers were all interior defensive linemen. It was Riley, their newcomer. It was Carl Brooks. It was Colby Wooden. I mean, it was interior defensive linemen. So that, to me, with no Devontae Wyatt, is definitely going to be something. And again, it's Devontae Wyatt wasn't the greatest run stopper in the world. He was more known for his ability to rush the passer from the interior. I mean, that was his forte. Wasn't the greatest, the best, and I'd say probably maybe not even the best run stopper on their team. But was he the best interior defensive lineman on their team? 110% he was. Absolutely. So, I mean, you'll miss him. It not only affects your depth, but it also, I mean, now you're playing some backups and such, but maybe asking guys to do different things in that, and it's going to have a trickle-down effect on the defensive line performance of this ball club. So it's definitely a huge loss going forward, and that's something Green Bay is going to have to figure out. I don't know what they can do in the next 4 weeks. I mean, they're bringing in bodies and they're bringing in guys and such, and maybe Riley after, just coming in and after 14 snaps, maybe get a little bit better. I know they claimed another defensive lineman off the Seahawks or off waivers from the Seahawks last week. So they've got bodies, they got guys, but hopefully it's something that they can kind of figure out in these next, starting right away and going forward here, because you darn know Chicago is going to remember this and try to exploit it and try to go after it in their second meetup, right? Running up the middle in that. Other teams are going to pay attention to that. Baltimore's going to pay attention to that. Denver this week's probably going to pay attention to that. And, I referenced the Dan Orlovsky tweet that he had yesterday, talking about how the Packers didn't allow an explosive run from the Bears, and the Bears have the most explosive runs in the National Football League at the time he tweeted, and that's runs of 10 or more yards. Great. Also, it is a little bit nitpicking, I think, because they did give up, the longest rush they did give up was 9. So, I mean, you're talking about a yard away. But I also think it kind of tells you, too, it's like Packers did a decent job in the second, third level of tackling the ball carrier, linebackers, defensive backs, safeties. When that running back got through that first line of defense, that defensive line, the linebackers, the second, third level players did a good job of tackling. And if Green Bay's interior defensive line is not going to improve in stopping the run, or they're not going to be better, there's going to be a lot more pressure on that second and third levels of the defense to continue to play at that level that they did of, they can't afford to have missed tackles. They can't afford it because they may not be getting a ton of help from the defensive line, the interior defensive line. They're going to have to be on their marks every single game going forward if Green Bay is going to continue to struggle stopping the run up the middle. They're good at the outside. They got the speed to do that. But I would imagine more teams are going to try to expose and try to run up the gut, run up the middle against Green Bay. Have success with that, but then it also keeps that Packers offense on the sidelines. And Green Bay knows this. I mean, we're not breaking any news or anything like that. They know this. How are they going to improve it? How are they going to get better? That's the question. All right. 2 in, 2 more to go. We're at halftime, baby. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll switch gears and talk some Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal. He's coming up after these quick words. Or he's coming up in about 20 minutes. We'll be back with a little bit more after these quick words. Third hour, kick it off right now on this Tuesday morning. Big thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start here. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we'll switch gears and talk some Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal. We'll talk some Badger hoops, both men's and women's. Women's team coming off of a big win against 20th-ranked Michigan State. We got Badger basketball coming off their win against Badger men's basketball coming off their win against Marquette. We'll hit that up. Volleyball also in action, taking on Stanford as they continue their run through the national tournament. We've got hockey, men's and women's Badger hockey to get to here. So lots to catch up. Plus, we'll talk a little football recruiting and such and get his thoughts on the college football playoffs. So we'll lots of stuff to catch up on with Mr. R.J. Cardinal. Couple texts to catch up on. Josh, if I knew the answer about when Van Ness is back, I think we're all kind of wondering that at this point. So I don't think anybody knows right now. Mark from Eau Claire, what's a better story for a movie? Old Man River leading the Colts to the playoffs, or Dolphins making the playoffs after a 1-6 start after all the questions about the team and coaches? Good point. I'd still probably go Phillip Rivers, but what the Dolphins are doing is pretty darn impressive here, too, just to kind of put themselves back into conversation. I think Mike McDaniel's probably saved his job at this point. And if he hasn't and Miami just wants to go on a straight, clean sweep, I know they're going to have a new general manager and such. I think Mike McDaniel's at least put himself in a position to potentially get another head coaching job elsewhere. But that, I will say, after all the questions and the turmoil that it looked like that was going on with the Dolphins and that, hey, tip of the cap to Mike McDaniel. For we talk about, coaches, as long as it feels like it's clearly evident that, they still have control of the locker room. They still have, players that believe in the messaging and such. Sure seems like that's the case with the Dolphins. So, Big Worm says, where is it? Here we go. Morning, Captain. 10,000% Bonds, Clemens, Rafael Palmeiro, McGuire, Sosa, Rodriguez, etc. should be in the Hall of Fame. Ask yourself this. Would baseball in the late 90s, early 2000s be the same if you took those individuals out? Absolutely not. Some might say baseball would have tanked without them. I'd rather have a guy hit a home run that went 500 feet than 340 feet. McGuire hitting moon balls out of Fenway Park in the home run derby, along with Sosa hitting balls out of Miller Park, is what I personally want to see. The game would have been downright boring without them. I know there are some of you out there who have voted to not have Bonds, Clemens, Rodriguez in the Hall of Fame. And I know you guys are diehard baseball fans, so I'm curious to hear from others who say no. Why? Why do you feel like they shouldn't be in there? Or if you agree with Big Worm, give me some more reasons why you think they should. Okay? Because right now, let me double check the poll question here. .61, so it went up a little bit more. 61% saying yes, that you think Bonds, Rodriguez, Roger Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame. Make the case why or why not. I'm genuinely curious where we're at here. Okay, because it's been a big topic of conversation with Jeff Kent's getting into the Hall of Fame. And I saw, was it Buster Olney or Ken Rosenthal? It was one of those MLB insiders that kind of made the point. Obviously it's the case that the writers who didn't vote in Bonds and such to the Hall of Fame, they weren't all about the steroid era players, but it looks like the contemporary committee from those votes really don't want those guys in. So it kind of seems like it's going to be an incredibly, incredibly uphill battle for those guys to get into the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to see who's okay. So I want to see if this is recent members. So these were the members of the contemporary committee. You got some Brewers connections on this thing. I'm just double checking to make sure that these are accurate, because I want to make sure the Contemporary Baseball Era Committee for the Hall of Fame includes, so current members as of December 2025, Fergie Jenkins, Jim Cott, Tony Perez, Ozzie Smith, Alan Trammell, Robin Yount. Executives, Mark Ananazio, Doug Melvin. Media historians, you got Jason Stark on there. I don't know who voted for who or how they voted and such, but just kind of interesting that we got a couple, because Doug Melvin's the other guy on there with a little bit of a Brewers connection. Obviously, Robin Yount, and you've got Mark Ananazio and such. But I mean that's a vote by a mixture of players, executives, media / historians. Man. So, and I'm not bringing Pete Rose into this conversation either, because that to me is different. I know I mentioned it a little bit ago, but Pete Rose, obviously that's different. I'm kind of focusing on the steroid era players. The steroid era players. We got a couple more. We've got Mike that says he won't go to the Hall of Fame until Pete Rose is inducted. Anyways, I think people through the steroid era should have an asterisk by their name, but still go in the Hall of Fame. But believe me, it was fun to watch those guys back then. And I just know this because I'm of the same age group of big worm in that. Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching the home run derby. With Sosa and McGuire. It was must-watch TV. I remember constantly, watching, and then, the bottom line would have, whatever you were watching, bottom line TV would, have the updates, saying Mark McGuire is up in the bottom of the 5th inning, and you're like, okay, I got to go and find another TV or switch the channel to watch it to see if he's going to get the home run derby or get the home run record. I remember going to a Brewers-Twins game at the Metrodome, and, oh, man, Cardinals are coming next week. Is there any way gosh, how old was I? 10, 11, 12, whatever it was. Is there any way I could get over here and try to watch Mark McGuire hit a home run? So, yeah, I mean, it was huge. I mean, it suckered me into. I mean, you play these video games as a kid for baseball. Who were some of the guys you were adding right away? It was Mark McGuire. It was Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're playing in the backyard with your dudes, with your buddies. Backyard baseball. For crying out loud, as a kid, I emulated Mark McGuire's batting stance, the little crouch there and such, and it's like Big Mac, man. It's a debate. It's a conversation that's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. I don't think there's going to be anything resolved, considering what we just saw with the voting from the Contemporary Committee. That I think was such a huge dagger. And knowing that too, and seeing the Don Mattingly results and the Dale Murphy, and seeing who's on that committee, man, that's really more, that's a little bit more interesting for me to see how that all played out. Let me know, all right? Continue to send me your thoughts. Text them on over, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. All right? So just to kind of regroup here, because we're going to be talking some Badgers, give you some time to chime in here. Matt LaFleur, best coach in the NFC North? Let me know. Yay or nay? Why or why not? Give me your reasons why or why not. Biggest question mark, biggest concern for the Green and Gold in the final 4 weeks of the season that you feel like could deter them or stop them, I think is probably the best way to say it, from going to the Super Bowl, capturing a championship. What do you think those reasons are? All right. So, and then, of course, the Post-Glass and Mirror 715 Speaks poll question that we have out there about the steroid era baseball players. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to switch gears because we got lots to catch up on with Mr. R.J. Cardinal. We're going to talk some Badgers with him, football, hoops, men's and women's basketball, hockey, volleyball. Let's break it all down. We'll take a quick break, and we'll get R.J. on here in just a few minutes. Winter is here. Is your vehicle ready, though, for some holiday travel and winter travel? At AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, their expert technicians will make sure your vehicle is prepared for snow, ice, and long trips. From brake checks and tire changes to battery tests and fluid inspections, they've got you covered. And if you do run into trouble, AJM Automotive does offer towing services as well to get you safely off the road. So don't wait. Give them a call, 715-835-9523. AJM Automotive, keeping you safe on the road and ready for winter. All right, let's switch gears here. Bring in our dude, Mr. R.J. Cardinal, this morning, because we've got lots of Badger stuff to hit up here this morning. First off, good morning, sir. How are you doing? RJ, you there, bud? Hello, RJ. I can hear a little something going on over there. RJ, can you hear me, bud? RJ, how you doing, bud?
Oh, doing good. How are you?
Good. There we go. How you doing, man?
Yeah, going good. I wasn't hearing anything, and then all of a sudden,
I don't know.
All of a sudden, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, our board's acting up both in a couple studios this morning, so I don't know what's going on. So, but hey, we got it figured out, man.
Fun.
We got you on.
Hey,
so.
Yeah, we're there, man.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, we got lots to catch up on in the Badger world. Let's start off with a little hoops action. How about that women's team? Picking up a big win against Michigan State, previously undefeated Michigan State, and 20th ranked Michigan State. I know it's kind of a general bowl or general kind of question here, but was that the biggest win, best win for this program maybe in the last few years up until that game?
It'd be hard to argue that.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm trying to think of ranked wins. And earlier in the year, you stuck with Ole Miss for a while until I believe they ended up pulling away when they were down in Florida playing. But yeah, I mean, it's a good confidence builder for a new coach, a team learning under that new coach, and hopefully, helping you move forward in the rest of the season to have, show some sort of improvement on what we have seen the past few seasons. And yeah, it's good to see, no matter who the athletic program is.
Yeah.
Always good to see how improvement and success, no matter how not really covered the sport is, solely because of how historically bad it has been. Mm-hmm. So good to see some positive news coming from there.
Yeah, no doubt. And then on the men's side, a nice convincing win against Marquette's always good to beat Marquette and such. But, I mean, John Blackwell, dude, it's just he continues, I think, to really showcase, how awesome of a player he is, but maybe even a special season that's going to be coming up for him. 30 points against Marquette in that game. Now he's up to 21 points per game. Also 5.6 rebounds per game, too. He's just looks like he's becoming kind of an all-around complete player so far.
Yeah, it's one, whatever he got back from the draft, NBA draft board that helped him, or basically told him, hey, this is what you need to work on. Seems like he's working on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I love what you're seeing out of him. And hopefully, I mean, right now, probably one of the best backcourts in college basketball right now. So hopefully you see that and improve upon what it already has been out of both of those guys. And you see some of your forwards start being a little more aggressive. And we've seen a change in Austin Rapp now coming off the bench to have a little more aggressiveness on the glass with gosh, I'm still learning that guy's name. So you've already seen that, and having Austin Rapp coming off the bench isn't a bad thing. It's something I think you're moving up a level in competition, and I think it's taking some adjustment period, and hopefully it turns into something where he can just be the kind of big man we need him to be, where you can stretch everything, shoot from the outside, but still be able to be inside and have the ability to pull down rebounds. It seems like we're having that issue with a lot of big guys lately. So, it's just, for some reason or another, a big guy who has the ability to push people around doesn't, and that includes guys who are smaller than him. So, and it's been across the board lately, but hopefully we see improvement on there from everybody. But yeah, when I think, what was it, the last 2 games ago, was it? Blackwell was our leading rebounder.
Yeah.
Can't have that happen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, so that they get so the Marquette, and obviously bouncing back after a couple losses here. They're not quite in the top 25 yet, but you look at their upcoming schedule. They got Nebraska tomorrow, who is in the top 25 here. So I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about Nebraska basketball at this point, but obviously 23rd in the country is nothing to sniff at. So I mean,
right.
But an opportunity for Wisconsin maybe to pick up another nice. Would you call it a signature win at this point?
A win against a ranked opponent, depending on how the rest of the year goes for Nebraska,
right.
It can definitely shape up to be a signature win. But I mean, I'd assume, haven't looked at the quads yet, just because we're not that deep into the season. So I'm not sure what quad it would be, but I'd assume you're looking at a quad 1 or 2 game here. And really they kind of base it off of when you faced the team, not where they are at the end of the year. So, I mean, you're shaping up to have a conference quad 1 or 2 win, and against a ranked team on the road, undefeated team on the road. Hopefully you don't have the kind of night where your shooting's just off. But I seem to recollect more often than not, when playing in Lincoln, that seems to be the case. So hopefully your game's on, and you'll be able to scrap out a victory in Lincoln tomorrow night? Yeah.
Yep, tomorrow night. So, hey, switching over to volleyball here. Wisconsin's still live, advancing. Couple of nice games. I mean, just sweeping their sets, coming off their latest 1-2 against North Carolina. Now sets up a big-time matchup against Stanford. I mean, you look at the brackets. I mean, the Big Ten is well represented. Nebraska's still in there. Indiana's still in there. Wisconsin, obviously, is still in there. Minnesota is still in there, too. But definitely a big test for this Wisconsin team. And if they get through it on Friday, they potentially have Texas waiting, or if Indiana can pull off that upset.
Yeah, more often than not, I think you run a simulation. Maybe Indiana wins 1 out of those 10, however many you run. But more like if you're advancing, I think Texas is waiting. So you've set yourself up now for what we have talked about all year. Get to the postseason. Get yourself in a position to make a run. And yeah, I mean, you're going to have some tough teams this year. And I mean, you give yourself a chance to win. They're playing very well right now. And hopefully that's enough to keep moving forward and get yourself to be part of those Final Four teams in a few weekends here.
Yeah, and then to hockey here, RJ. Let's start off with the women's side here, going up against Ohio State this past weekend, number 2, and then Wisconsin just sweeps them 2-1 victory on Friday, and then 6-1 on Saturday. Yeah. Just another impressive weekend for Badger hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it's turning into what we were kind of watching last year. I'm not sure if they're on the same prolific goal scoring that they were last year. Haven't jumped into that yet to see what kind of goal differential they were at, but I mean, last year's was ridiculous. Yeah. That's going to be hard to top, but still, it sounds bad to say, but it's another ho-hum season for Wisconsin, just trying to get through the WCHA and be the number one overall seed heading into the NCAAs. So hopefully we don't have to have any odd conversations in here about a sweep. But you're playing still some of the toughest competition in your own conference. So still a long road ahead in the WCHA here, but it's looking like Wisconsin is doing normal Wisconsin things and getting ready to just, get themselves into the NCAA tournament and hopefully move on to women's Frozen Four.
And then on the men's side, taking down Notre Dame 7-4 on Friday, 9-2 on Saturday. How impressed should we be with that performance from the men's side of things against Notre Dame this past weekend?
The 7-4 little off there because it was 5-4 with 2 empty net goals in the third period there, but Wisconsin dug themselves a hole in that one and was down 2-0 after the first. Came back to be 4-4 after the second. Got out the win with 3 more goals in the third there on Friday night. But Saturday night just came out and utterly dominated. It was good to see. Didn't move up in the polls at all. Stayed at number 2 because Michigan and Michigan State were playing each other in split. Not sure how you can trounce a team that's number 1 in the country one night and you split or you lost by 1 goal to them. So you split with them on a weekend, but overall you utterly dominated the number 1 team in the country. You swept the number 3 team in the country, and yet you stayed at number 2 after a trouncing of a much less opponent. I guess that's just where we are in terms of what people think they're looking at in college hockey. But if you had been a fan of the Badgers and made your way to the Kohl Center for games, start going back. This team is one that's worth it, and I think especially with the way NIL is now and just the way college athletics are, it might be one to start going to games because honestly, we don't know what we're going to have on a year-to-year basis. And I think this team, at least the way they're looking, the way they're playing, it's so much higher of a hockey acumen, ability, everything than it was last season. That it really, it is a totally different team. A good key players are still here, but the supporting cast is much better surrounding them, and this team I think has what it takes to push to be tops in the Big Ten. They're 2 points above Michigan right now in the standings, and are in first place, but definitely have, I think, what it takes to at least end up with an at-large bid if you don't win the conference, and be participating in the NCAA tournament come early next year. So if you are able to make your way to Madison to watch a game, or like in your guys' case, I don't know, are we done? No, we haven't played Minnesota in Minnesota yet, have we? No.
I don't think so, no.
Nope. So, they will play the Gophers up in Minneapolis. It's a little bit shorter of a drive.
Yeah.
It's definitely a team to watch this year.
Switching gears to college football now, RJ. We know the 12 teams in the playoffs, and before we kind of break it down, let me ask you kind of a buy or sell or a fair or foul type of question. Kurt Signetti and the job that he has done at Indiana in these 2 years, the best coaching job that we have seen in recent memory for how quickly that program has turned around and where that program is at right now.
It is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is one that especially now, granted, he did bring a lot of guys with him from JMU, so they understood his system, his philosophy, and all that kind of stuff. So that's always good to have with you when you can have culture guys that are already there with you. It's something as well where they have identified players who can come to Indiana and be difference makers and not necessarily be the 5-star transfers or the 4-star transfers. They have a couple of them in there, but a lot of them are 3-star guys or guys who were on teams where they were the best player and were the ones who were responsible for getting wins, So they've identified people to get them into their system that work for their system, and really haven't wavered in what they do. So, I mean, in 2 years, you went from Indiana has a football team to Indiana's the number 1 seed in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the money they're dealing with over there. I know we've heard the stories of Mark Cuban saying, hey, I'm leading this. You have a blank check. Let us know what you need. So that's always fun to have. Who knows? So we don't know what they have, but
right.
They have the backing of a blank check.
Yeah.
And all we have is the promise from Wisconsin donors saying we're going to be top 6 in the Big Ten next year. Well, I mean, and the thing is, we don't know what everybody else is spending. They can say what they need. Do we know what they're actually spending? No, we don't. So it's one of amazement, and like whatever you think about Kirk Cinetti, I mean, you can't say he isn't something of a fraud because he has the confidence. It's borderline cockiness, but it's working, and people like go to him. It's like whatever he's doing it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So, looking at the 12 teams now, did they get it right? What are your thoughts too on Notre Dame just saying, "Hey, screw you all. We're not going to play in a bowl because we didn't get in the top 12."
I mean, that it screams sour grapes. I know Notre Dame doesn't need the money. Most bowl games are built there for conferences to make money. So that's what that is. And there's a few other schools who have now bowed out. Some of them, I think, for reasons because they've fired a head coach, and they're just moving on. So there is that. But yeah, I don't understand it, but I get from the business side of it. I can see how some people just would rather be done with a season than play a quote unquote exhibition game, and have their season continue. I mean, you're missing out on, I think it's 15 bowl practices, or maybe it's expanded past that now, but I mean, you're missing out on another month of being able to coach your team. Like, if you opt out of a bowl, your coaching contact is now done. Like, your team's season is over. They can start entering the transfer portal, they can say they intend to enter the transfer portal because I don't think it opens until January 2nd, something like that. But yeah, still, I don't understand it. If you're able to play in a bowl, but I think it's also part of it is Notre Dame having the feeling that ESPN is still pulling the strings. You don't explain that otherwise, having 5 SEC teams in there, especially 2 in Alabama and Oklahoma, which I don't believe deserve the right to be in the college football playoff. But that also can go back into the network that is running the college football TV schedule is the network that supports the SEC. So, no matter who has the TV rights, the Big Ten out of the networks have 3/4 of the networks that could end up televising the college football playoff. So, does anybody really want to watch Alabama, Oklahoma?
Right.
Does anybody really want to watch Tulane, Ole Miss? Or James Madison, Oregon?
Right. And that was kind of
the one I'm.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the one I'm looking forward to is Miami, Texas A&M. And those are the two teams that beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. I was gonna, because we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. We had quite a few people say, "Well, James Madison, are they a top 12 team? They're gonna get killed and such." And that, but so I guess it brings the question that I'll ask you: do you like the fact that they're including teams like James Madison, Tulane in this, or do you want just the top 12 teams, regardless if they're conference champs or not? You just want the 12 best, regardless of where they come from.
Well, the ACC conference champ isn't even in here.
Right.
So I get letting the group of 5 or group of 6, letting them think they have a chance. Because, quite frankly, it's not really a national championship if you're not including them. And, however you want to think about that, but it's true. Sure, yeah, and it's never going to be the size of the NCAA basketball tournament.
Right.
It's just not.
Yeah.
Because it can't. At that point, you
can't have 68 football teams, man. Why not?
Yeah, you're gonna start a playoff in September, and you'll be done by January.
Right.
Because it's outside of the bottom, especially when they said for championship games, you're not going to be penalized for losing in your conference championship game. Alabama didn't move one spot. BYU fell out completely.
Yeah.
If that's not showing a bias, it's ridiculous on what the college football playoff committee is thinking. And you can't tell me there are this many people who are football adjacent who can sit in a room and get this wrong. The only thing I can tell from this, because your first two out are Notre Dame and BYU, is we don't want organized religion in college football.
Yeah.
I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but it's just kind of funny how that plays out. And I do think you could have put those two in over Alabama and Oklahoma, and everybody would have been fine except Alabama and Oklahoma. So I really think it's turning into ESPN pulling the strings to get a matchup they think is going to be something people want to see.
Gotcha.
And it's, the two teams out of the playoff right now that are the first two out should have been in over your 9 and 8 seeds.
So last question for you, and I'm not asking for you to make a prediction at this point, but when you look at the bracket, who do you think is in a good spot, or who do you think is really kind of like, oh man, that they've got a really tough road? That committee did not do them any favors to get there, like realistic potential champion style teams, caliber teams.
Well, I think even with the 10 seed in Miami, at times they've played like they can beat anybody in the NCAA. But you look at that, you got to go through Texas A&M, Ohio State, and then probably either Georgia or Ole Miss just to get to the national championship game. And I mean, quite frankly, ACC probably not the best out of the Power Four conferences, probably even the lowest ranked one, which is why it took so long for Miami to get into the top 12. But it's and quite might be why Notre Dame isn't in either, because they've agreed to play a 5-game ACC schedule, which, I mean, I was looking it up yesterday, and most of the teams they played were pretty bad this year. But I think somebody who has maybe an easier way through is Texas Tech, and mostly because with Oregon, they have shown that they are beatable, and they have shown times where not everything's clicking on all cylinders, but they're able to pull it out. I think Texas Tech might be a team that could both offensively and defensively run with them and make their way to a semifinal. And, I mean, Indiana doesn't have the most high-powered offense when they go against good defenses. So even at the 4 seed, I think Texas Tech might have a nice little run towards the college football final, because Alabama, Oklahoma don't have the greatest of offenses. Their defenses are okay. Same with Indiana, not the greatest offense, but when their defense is firing on all cylinders, they put that offense in good field position. And I mean, their quarterback in Mendoza hasn't had a lot of field to work with, so he hasn't even passed for 3,000 yards this year. I mean, granted, it's like 2,900, but still, for being the guy who's probably going to win the Heisman, his numbers don't pop off the page at you. And I think it's because they've been playing with such a short field when their defense is firing in games that it really helps them in terms of at least putting points on the board. But as we saw in the Big Ten championship game, I mean, that was a rock fight, and it wasn't like offensive fireworks on either side for Ohio State or Indiana, but the defenses were playing pretty well, and yeah, it's something I think easiest might be Texas Tech, which sounds weird to say, but hey, they bragged about their $50 million roster.
Oh man, we could be probably talking about this for another hour or so, dude. So, but hey, we appreciate your time here this morning and breaking it all down. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about this a whole lot more as the playoff games kind of get underway here soon. So, dude, thanks much. Thanks a bunch, man, and enjoy the rest of your week. Okay.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break. So let's do that. We got to play a little catch up here this morning. All right. So we'll do that. We'll take a break and be right back after these quick words. Got a quick break coming at you because, again, we got to play a little catch-up here. So, surveyor, though, with a quick text saying, I agree with Big Worm wholeheartedly that baseball could not be written without the play of those men, and it seems everyone in the 90s was on some kind of performance enhancer. Not to mention the booger sugar of the 70s and 80s, spider tack, pine tar, betting, sign stealing, corkbacks, etc. Everyone has looked for an edge in all sports. And if we really dive deep into many Hall of Fame inductees, you can see many people, quote, cheated. So to kind of reset it as we approach the final hour here, if you have not had an opportunity to chime in, it was our post-glass of mirror 715 Speaks poll question. Should Bonds, Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, those guys, not Pete Rose, we're talking steroid era players, should they have been, should they already be in the Hall of Fame? And if you voted on it for a poll, tell me why or why not. Why you voted the way you did. Give me your reasonings, okay? So we'll hit that up next hour. Also next hour, a couple other questions we've been throwing out all morning. Packers-wise, is Matt LaFleur, if he power ranked the NFC North head coaches, is he the top one? And with the final 4 games coming up, what is the biggest concern? What is the biggest question mark you have for this Packers team as they start to wrap up their regular season with 4 games left to go, 4 big games here? What is the biggest question you have in terms of them where you're like, oh, you know what? I feel like this thing is going to stop them from getting to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl. So, few different questions I threw out there for you. We got our Toys and Four to grind my gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? Hit us up. What is your Hy-Vee game changer of the week as well? All right, we got to take our final break for this hour just because we went a little long with RJ. That's okay, though. It's a quick break, and then we'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, we got about a minute left until the shot clock cuts us off here this morning. So, one more hour coming up. Plenty more Packers chat to get to. Baseball get more opinions, thoughts on that with the old Hall of Fame thing. We'll get some Brewers rumors to recap with the winter meetings going down in Florida. So obviously a lot of talk has been about Freddie Peralta. Could he be traded? Will he be traded? There's another pitcher on this Brewers roster that's drawing some trade interest, and to me that one kind of makes more sense than Freddie Peralta at this point. So we'll tell you who that pitcher is. If you missed it, we chatted a little bit about it earlier on and such. So, but if you missed it, we'll hit that up again coming up in the final hour here. So, but send me your thoughts on that the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame question I threw out there. Also, the Matt LaFleur, the Packers. Your Grind My Gears, your Toyson Ford Grind My Gears, your Hy-Vee Game Changers. Continue to send those on over as well. 3 in, 1 more to go. The final quarter coming up after these news updates. It is the final hour kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning. Before we get going here, again, another reminder for tomorrow, because you just heard that weather update. It's good reminder to stay tuned to our website, sportstalk1051.com, for the latest school closings and delays if we do get any tomorrow. It's the WEAU 13 News First Alert school closings brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. So might be the first one of the year, potentially, again. So always stay tuned to that. So definitely I will be for sure because, well, got to know if Hudson's going to have school tomorrow or not. So, all right. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk a little baseball with winter meetings going on in Florida. There's another Brewers pitcher. His name is being brought up in some potential trade rumors. I'll tell you who that is coming up here in just a little bit. We'll get back to some more green and gold chat as well. Matt LaFleur chatted a little bit with the media yesterday, so we'll not really anything from Matt LaFleur I think was noteworthy and such from yesterday. But Matt LaFleur has definitely been a guy this year, and maybe it was more so from the Packers fan base themselves instead of the national. It got a little national talk out there, but given that everything we've seen now in the last few weeks and such, and where the Packers are at first place in the NFC North, second overall seed in the NFC, we still have 4 big games to go here. Nothing is over with in that. But when you look at the NFC North, if you had to power rank the NFC North in terms of coaches, is Matt LaFleur number 1? Why or why not? And if he's not, who would you put at 1 and why? Why do you have more confidence in that person than you do Matt LaFleur? Why do you think their resume is better? So far, everybody who's chimed in said Matt LaFleur is number 1. That's so far everybody who's texted in has said that. So, and then what is the biggest question you have, or maybe the biggest concern that you have for this team in the final 4 weeks here as we start to wrap up the season and get into the postseason that you feel like could deter or stop this Packers team from getting to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl? A lot of you going with interior defensive line, also going with pass rush. Those seem to be the top 2 picks. So if you got more to add to that, or you got a different one, you can send those on over here too. Let's lead off though talking a little. Oh, and don't forget last call, because last call, happy hour. For your Toys Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday, what the heck is grinding your gears? Plus your Hy-Vee Game Changers of the Week if you want to participate with that. Baseball-wise, Brewers getting named yesterday as Baseball America's Organization of the Year. The Brewers, this is the 5th time the Brewers have won this award since the award first started to be handed out in 1982. They won it 85, 86, 87, 2018, and 2025. So is the most in Major League Baseball history. It is an award that is that recognizes an organization for success at the major league level, as well as in scouting, coaching, and other aspects of player development. So makes sense, right? Makes sense that the Brewers would be a team that nobody expected really to do anything, and yet here they are, 97 wins, division champs again. So it's not necessarily just the award that's given to, well, best team, it would have to be the World Series. That goes a little bit deeper than that. Is it more important than the World Series? No. No offense to Baseball America, but it's not. Still won a World Series. Still won a World Series award. But with the winter meetings going on now in Florida, obviously this is hot stove season. This is where, a lot of maybe some free agents are meeting with teams, face-to-face meetings with potential new teams, maybe some GMs meeting with each other to talk about some trade packages and that sort of thing. So obviously Freddie Peralta is a very popular name. I'm sure Matt Arnold down in Florida is going to be, asked to death about Freddie Peralta from prospective teams. But there is another pitcher that, according to the New York Post, is garnering a lot of interest, including from Yankees and Mets, that's currently on the Brewers, and that's Trevor McGill. And if you take a step back and you think about it a little bit, it kind of makes sense. And maybe it kind of makes sense for the Brewers to see what they could get in return for him. Like, what's the price tag on him? Or what's the compensation going to be for him? Because rewind. Let's go back. Trevor McGill was an all-star this past year. Got banged up towards the end. And then Uribe comes in. Uribe was pretty much the setup guy. He comes in and does a good job at becoming a closer. And then when McGill comes back even, they kept Uribe at that closer spot. So they've gotten some experience. They've seen Uribe step into that closing role. And then you look at, okay, Trevor McGill, according to SpotTrack, for his arbitration number, estimated around $6.5 million. That's a jump to his, was just under $2 million from his previous year. He's going to be 33. He's got a couple of years left of arbitration. So it's a little bit different than Devin Williams. Devin Williams entering the final year of his deal last year and that sort of thing. So, but it makes sense that if the Brewers were interested in potentially moving on from McGill, they've got that natural replacement already on their roster with Uribe. It fits a pattern that the Brewers have done over the years, right? I mean, guys kind of that are already on their roster, maybe seventh inning guys, eighth inning guys stepping into the closing role. Hader was like it. Devin Williams was like that. Now it looks like Uribe could be that guy. So it kind of makes sense. And plus, if they want to save a few $1 million here or there, now the question is, what would they get in return for McGill? I don't quite know. I mean, we can look at what they got in return for Devin Williams last year, and that was Nestor Cortez and Caleb Durbin. You got a Rookie of the Year candidate, top three, Rookie of the Year in Caleb Durbin. Nestor Cortez, a veteran starter that ended up getting hurt, but a veteran starter nonetheless. So is that kind of the benchmark? Is that kind of the minimum, or that's the starting point, whatever, for a potential return for Trevor McGill, where you would have some control left on him because of the arbitration? But do I, I'll just say this. Do I want them to get rid of Trevor McGill just so, Uribe can be the closer? No, I don't want to get rid of him just to get rid of him, for crying out loud. I think, I want this team to have the best bullpen possible, back end possible, and having McGill and Uribe as your late inning guys, that makes it a formidable bullpen, back end bullpen. I want that. But if you could get a starter, like a starting position player in return, I think it's worth having the discussion. Because you have Uribe ready to step into that role. And we saw him do it last year. And I'll admit, last year, more so at the beginning of the year, I was, every time Uribe would go out there, I was a little nervous. He's got stuff. He's got nasty stuff. He's powerful, dude. Maybe a little wild, though, at times. And that's what made me nervous. But he's pitching some big moments, some clutch moments. And I think he's ready to become that full-time closer. So if that makes it expendable for Trevor McGill, for the Brewers, maybe to get an improvement elsewhere on the team, I think it's a conversation worth having. And it makes sense why teams potentially would be looking at, hey, let's ask the Brewers about Trevor McGill if a team doesn't have a closer or maybe a setup guy and they got a little extra cash on hand. It makes sense because, well, they've got Uribe and then they've, a plethora of riches, if you will. But by all accounts, too, just kind of looking at some of the latest rumors and such surrounding the Brewers, it's Freddie Peralta, it's Trevor McGill, two hot names that it sounds like Matt Arnold is going to be busy talking to other GMs, talking to other teams about some potential compensation. I almost feel like if I were to make a bold prediction here, I almost feel like McGill at this point in time is going to be the guy that is most likely to be traded. I feel like McGill is the most likely one to be traded over Peralta. The Peralta one, I think, is going to be, if it does happen, and I'm still putting a big if on it, But if it does happen, I feel like that one's going to be more complicated to try to figure out than what a potential Trevor McGill trade would be. Because you've got, I think, still an ascending starting pitcher, a young starting pitcher who is cheap in terms of compensation for this year, a guy who has been pretty darn healthy the last couple of years. That one's going to take more negotiation. That one's going to take more back and forth between the Brewers and prospective teams. Okay, there may be more conversations, there may be more phone calls about Freddie Peralta, but that one is going to be more complicating to try to come to an agreement with, because I don't think the Brewers are necessarily in a rush to trade Freddie Peralta. They're the ones just kind of sitting back and taking phone calls or text messages or however they do it these days between these GMs. And if something piques their interest, I know there was reports last week that the Brewers are kind of cracking the door open a little bit more on those Freddie Peralta talks. And if that is the case, I feel like it's because maybe they got an offer or a couple offers that they weren't expecting to get to or expecting to get right away, that they're like, ooh, higher than what we thought initially. Okay, let's maybe think about this a little bit. If that's true. So Matt Arnold's going to be busy, not only for that, but I think if you're Matt Arnold, I mean, this is kind of like, it's almost like Christmas shopping here. You go down to these winter meetings. You're maybe not necessarily buying, but you're just kind of scoping out the landscape. You're scoping out some potential options. What's available? What's the price tag on some players? I think we all, if you're a Brewers fan, we all want a bat, a power bat. What are some options out there that fit my budget, right? I mean, Christmas list, you got kiddos. Hey, they want the most expensive things. They want a wide range of things. But when you do a little shopping, you kind of like, okay, what can I make work here? Kind of like what Matt Arnold and some of these guys are going to be doing here down in Florida for the next couple of days. What's something that could potentially work within my budget here? I know I got to get upgrades here and there. But what can I do? What can I do to help out my ball club get better? I don't really necessarily think there's going to be a whole lot of movement. I mean, Schwarber's the big prize. You got Tucker over there too, and apparently those guys, Pete Alonso, they're going to be at these meetings, winter meetings, meeting with GMs and such. But I don't think we're going to have a ton of movement in the initial waves of the winter meetings down in Florida. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll get back to some more green and gold football. Just how big was that win for the Packers yesterday on Sunday for their playoff chances? More simulators out there telling us the numbers. We'll talk some green and gold coming up after these quick words. So obviously, winning the division game on Sunday against the Bears was huge. I mean, you're 4-0 in the NFC North and such. You win your conference games. I mean, you're going to be in good shape here. And you got a lot of simulators out there kind of trying to forecast what teams are in a really good spot to make the postseason. And depending on which one you look at, in this case, I'm looking at the Athletics simulator. Because of that win, the Green Bay Packers, with 4 games left to go now, have about a 95% chance to make the playoffs. I don't know about you, but 95 out of 100 is pretty darn good. Now, to host a wild card, it's at like how things currently stand right now. To host a wild card, that's 2 seed, 3 seed, 4 seed, okay? 58% chance. To play in a wild card on the road at 27% chance. To be out, 5%. To be the 1 seed right now, it's still an uphill battle. It's 10% according to their algorithms and simulators and such. Now, obviously, what's the easiest way for a lot of that to happen? Well, win all 4 of your games, right? Win all of your games. Also, you probably, so if we just do a generic, if they win all 4, they move up to a 61% chance to get the 1 seed and a bye. Obviously, the 2 teams to kind of really look at is going to be the Seahawks and the Rams. So let's just say somehow the Colts beat the Seahawks this weekend, and let's say the Lions beat the Rams this weekend. Then you're talking about Green Bay. I mean, they're exploded. Way up there. But as it currently stands right now, it's a tough hill to climb. Green Bay just got to focus on them and worry about what's in front of them. I don't want to get into. I think it's a little bit early yet to kind of talk about. Do we want a 1 seed? Do we want the bye, or do we want to just keep the momentum going? Especially if they win, right, the next 4 games. Let's say they win their next 4. That is going to be a topic out there. It's like, well, do they really want the bye, or do they want to ride the wave, ride the momentum sort of thing? I mean, Philadelphia, you look at it last year, right? I mean, Philadelphia was the 2 seed. Super Bowl champs. Detroit was the 1 seed. They lost their first game. But you have examples either way. A lot of it's just going to depend on, health, injury status. Remember Green Bay? They had an early bye week too. So there's a lot of factors in play. But I think, right now, let's just take this. We got to take a game-by-game approach. Single game, game-by-game approach. Because, I mean, you can even look at it last year too. The Chiefs did have the top seed. They went to the Super Bowl. They got killed in the Super Bowl, but still. So what is the biggest concern, maybe the biggest question you have about this ball club that you think could stop their pursuit or keep them from getting to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl? And I think, my biggest question I think I have for this team in the final 4 weeks, and if I'm being honest too, I don't know if it's something that they can even fix at this point. It's not going to be worlds better. You're going to have to get improvement from within, obviously. It's the interior defensive line in terms of stopping the run. I don't want to say Chicago gave a blueprint in that second half. I don't think I'm there yet. But I would be shocked if teams don't at least try to really pound the football, running the football up the middle. Because I would imagine in less than 2 weeks here with this rematch against Chicago, the Bears are going to. I mean, I think that would be completely stupid on their part if they didn't. You look at the Broncos, Sean Payton's probably, they all do, but Sean Payton's I would imagine him being an offensive-minded head coach and such is like, okay, are we going to be able to do that? Can we do that? Can we run the ball up the middle with, J.K. Dobbins or R.J. Harvey? Is that going to be, I don't even know if J.K. Dobbins is going to be available. I don't think he is. But so R.J. Harvey. I would imagine they're going to try. And Green Bay's going to know this, right? They know this. They're going to try to fix it, combat it, improve it. But at some point, it is just who they are. And can they overcome that? Can they overcome that deficiency? And I think it's clear when this is a really good defense. This is a very solid defense. One of the better defenses in the entire league. But there is a crack. There is a crack within it, and it's that interior run defense. Can teams make that crack bigger? Can they expand upon it? That's going to be the question. Hey, really quick to switch off. World Baseball Classic, Bryce Terang just announced he's on Team USA in 2026. So Bryce Terang suiting it up for Team USA for the World Baseball Classic, just because we were talking Brewers there a little bit ago. So that just literally just popped up on Twitter there. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. But, and I know I mentioned a little bit earlier, too, the Dan Orlovsky tweet where he, this was from yesterday, but he said, credit to Jeff Hafley and the Packers defense for stopping the Bears from having explosive runs. Explosive runs are 10 yards or more. And Chicago leads the league in explosive runs. They had 6 against Philadelphia alone. I feel like it's a little nitpicking because Green Bay did give up 9 yards, 8 yards. It was close. But I think the other thing that it does tell me is that Packers did a fairly decent job in the second and third level in tackling. They didn't allow those running backs to, they got through the first level. But they did a good job after that. And eliminating some potential big runs, like, those big explosive 15, 20, 25, whatever we want to say. So they did a good job in that. And that's something that second, that third level, those linebackers, those safeties, those defensive backs, they're going to have to continue to play at that same high level going forward. They're going to have to be able to tackle like they did against Chicago, like they did against Detroit, against Gibbs and that. There's going to be a lot more pressure on those linebackers, specifically the Coopers, the Walkers, the McDuffies. They got to be ready. They got to be ready to go. If we're going to continue to struggle stopping the running game up the middle, that next line of defense, it's those linebackers. They have got to continue to play at a high level. Now, can they? I think they can. I mean, I think I think Cooper and Walker, they've got the skill sets, they got the athleticism, they got the ability to do that. But they're going to have to play almost nearly perfect football on the defensive side, especially in the running game. That might be a lot to ask, too. A lot to put on their shoulders. But if those teams have success running that football and where that safety kind of starts to creep down a little bit, and you have a little bit more in the box there, you go up against a team that can really utilize play action and really get that thing going, that's danger territory. That's what Chicago, that's where Ben Johnson comes from, that line system where they were so good at play action. And that's what he wants to do with that group. So you look at the Pro Football Focus grades. I mean, if you use that as part of your tool to kind of gauge how well these guys played, 4 of the 5 lowest graded defensive players, all defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen. Riley, the newcomer. Warren Brinson, Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks. They didn't get good grades, especially in the run department. That's got to get better going forward. All right, we got to take a quick break. Last call for any grind my gears, any game changers, all that good stuff. Last call for your thoughts on the kind of informal poll question that we had out there. Bonds, Clemens, A-Rod. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? Should they have already been in the Hall of Fame? I want to hear from you. Quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes. For you Packers fans who like to vote all things Packers, apparently you guys are all doing a really good job of voting the Packers into the Pro Bowl games or Pro Bowl or whatever the heck they're calling it these days. 19 Packers are in the top 10 of their position for Pro Bowl voting. 19? Wow. I don't know if that's it probably would. I don't know if I'd have to look at everything, but that was what they tweeted out yesterday. The Packers did. So, outside of if this was, and for the Pro Bowl, it still means a lot for some people, I think, because one, it's money. It's probably in their contracts. Hey, you make the Pro Bowl, you get a $500,000 bonus, that sort of stuff. Established veterans and such, later, once they experience it, like, yeah, whatever. And I'm not just talking about how bad the game is or the events and that, but nonetheless, if we just kind of look at it as still as a benchmark for players who have had a really good season, outside of Micah Parsons, who do you think is the next most deserving Packers player? Now let's for argument's sake, let's pretend that the Pro Bowl still means something, like it's a big time honor. Okay. Maybe let's kind of pretend it's like the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, okay? Outside of Micah Parsons, because that's the easy pick. And I think he's the leading vote getter, just ahead of Myles Garrett for his position. But outside of him, who do you think is that? I'm going to throw a wild card. I know a lot of people are probably going to say Jordan Love in that, but I'm going to throw a wild card in this thing. Oh, Daniel Whelan. Now, that doesn't mean that because there isn't anybody else good on this team or anything like that, but Daniel Whelan, come on now. Let's give the punter some love, for crying out loud. Okay? Let's give him some love. Let's get him some attention over there. I think he's having a heck of a season. I know he had one bad punt in the game against Chicago here, but other than that, dude's a weapon, flips the field. Give him some love. Other than that, yeah, you could throw in J-Love. I think Zach Tom is so incredibly underrated. I just saw, was it Zach Cruz who posted, some of his Pro Football Focus rankings. Let me kind of bring it up here. And right tackle, guys who have played right tackle, last few years have been getting more love and some more attention and such. You got Sewell from the Lions, obviously like Lane Johnson and such. So, you've been getting Brian Balaga was getting a little bit of love, but Zach Tom, I still feel like really underappreciated in terms of across the league here. But according to Pro Football Focus, he is the 7th overall offensive tackle entering Week 15. Has allowed only 16 pressures, committed just one penalty. How's that possible in today's age to have one penalty? Also has the 6th highest run blocking grade at offensive tackle, all while, and as Zach noted too, playing through an injury for the most part of this year. So, I think, again, that Zach Tom is, when we talk about maybe one of the more underrated players, not only on this team, but across the league, I think I listed two there, Daniel Whelan and Zach Tom. Trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe, I don't know if Evan Williams, I had Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard wasn't top 10 in voting the last I saw too, but he was listed under strong safety though, not corner, nickelback, or under strong safety. So, but Keyshawn Nixon was in top 10 voting too. By the way, I know I mentioned in the first hour, if you're just kind of curious on what the Pro Football Focus grades were for some of these Packers players coming out of that game against Chicago, there were some grades I was like, really? Kind of surprised me a little bit. Jordan Love had the highest grade amongst any Packers, not just offense, but any Packer player. He had an elite grade. He was 90.4 in this one. Josh Jacobs, 84.4. Christian Watson, 83.2. Lucas Musgrave, 77.1. And Zach Tom, 77.3. Bottom 5 offense. Pay attention to the numbers. There's a reason I'm saying this. But bottom 5 for offense, Anthony Belton was 50.6, Romeo Doubs 52.9, Rasheed Walker 61.4, Sean Ryan 61.9, Aaron Banks 64. That's 4 offensive linemen. But Aaron Banks had the 5th lowest offensive grade, 64. The 5th highest offensive grade, 77. 13 points difference. Whereas, you look at some of the defensive grades, the fifth best was Carrington Valentine at 67.8. So the fifth worst offensive player was 64. There was a lot of solid play from the offense. Top defense. This is what kind of surprised me a little bit. The top defensive player from Pro Football Focus for the Packers in this game, Keyshawn Nixon, 82.4. Then it was Javon Bullard at 75.2, Evan Williams at 69.9, Barron Sorrell 67.8, Carrington Valentine 67.8. Bottom five defense, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the top four worst, all interior defensive linemen. Jordan Riley, their new defensive lineman. Warren, he had a 28.6. Warren Brinson, 38. Colby Wooden, 39.1. Carl Brooks, 45.2. And then Quay Walker came in with a 51.1. Yikes. Those dudes. There's a lot going to be counted on Riley, Brinson, Wooden, Brooks. Those four specifically. There's going to be a ton expected from those guys. We have got to see better play from those guys going forward. Has to. Absolutely have to. They're going to be counted on to be. They got to step up. They got to rise to the challenge. They got to get better. They got to be better. Can't have performances like that in these last four games heading into the postseason. That's unacceptable. 20s, 30s, yikes. That's ugly. That is ugly. So, but we'll have more breaking down this Packers-Broncos game coming up a little bit. We'll kind of start it off tomorrow and such. And I know the Broncos are a team that even a lot of you have said for the last few weeks when we do our power rankings, and we're going to do our power rankings coming up, tomorrow and such. But Denver's been a team that not a lot of believers in, I think, across the league, from a national perspective. I mean, even I was just, Rob Gronkowski after the Packers game, him and TB were kind of going back and forth about it a little bit. And Rob was kind of talking about the offense needs to be maybe a little bit more splashy and such. But they are winning, and they've won 10 games in a row. Green Bay's their early favorite. But I think it's a good test going into that environment, coming off of a big win against Chicago. Can you stack another big win? Can you go into that territory and get another big win against a very good defense? Against a defense that can get after the quarterback. Some numbers from Jordan Love, by the way, blitz numbers from this previous game against the Bears. Dude was pretty darn good. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of 99.7 against the blitz. 9 of 12, 171 passing yards, 3 tuds, no picks, 156.3 quarterback rating against the blitz from Chicago. Yeah. So far this season, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, no sacks against the blitz so far. This was actually from November, but end of November. First in the QBR rating against man coverage. First in EPA play against the blitz. It's kind of a little bit like Aaron Rodgers-esque. Not comparing him to Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers-esque because of, what they always say. Dare you to blitz Aaron Rodgers, he's going to beat you on the blitz. Jordan Love is playing incredibly well against teams who are blitzing him, for crying out loud. All right, let's take a quick break, and we're going to wrap it up with some picks coming up after these quick words. All right, let's wrap things up here this morning with some picks. What do we got on the schedule for tonight? Bucks aren't going to be back in action until we get to Thursday, so a few days off here for the Bucks, probably a good thing. But they've got the Celtics coming to town on Thursday, just an FYI. So, all right, college basketball. We got Villanova taking on Michigan. Give me Michigan. Clemson, BYU. Give me BYU. And then Illinois at Ohio State. I'll rock with Illinois. Number 18, Florida at number 5, UConn. Going with the Huskies. Let's go to the NHL schedule. We've got Tampa Bay taking on Montreal. I'll go Montreal. Let's do Devils and Ottawa. Give me the Devils. Vegas and Islanders. I'll go with the Vegas Golden Knights. San Jose taking on Philadelphia. I'll go with the Sharks. The Ducks taking on the Penguins. Got to go with my Mighty Ducks. Second favorite team. Columbus taking on Carolina. I'll go Carolina. Boston. St. Louis. I'll go Bruins. Stars. Winnipeg. I'll go with the Stars. Buffalo at Edmonton. Give me Edmonton. Colorado at Nashville. I will go with the Colorado Avalanche. NBA schedule. Just 2 games on the docket tonight. Miami taking on Orlando. That could actually be a decent game. I'm going to go Orlando, though, and then this could also be a decent game. New York taking on Toronto. I will go with the Knicks. A quick look at the standings here. Bucks actually did creep up into the 10th spots in the playoff standings. But Pistons still on top, 19-5. You got the Knicks, 16-7. Boston has really turned it on here. They have won 5 in a row. I mean, so give them credit. You know, you look at that, for example, okay, just to get on a little tangent here with the Bucks. You look at that. Tatum's out. This offseason, they trade Drew Holiday. They trade, Porzingis. They make a lot of moves. It looked like it was going to be a down year. And I don't know where Boston's going to fit at when this is all done with. But right now, they're third best in the Eastern Conference. Missing their best player. Moving on from a couple players. It does help to have Jaylen Brown. It does help to have him. So I don't want to bury that narrative. It does help to have a guy like Brown on your roster. And they did make some good moves with some of their trades to bring in some young guys. But that, job well done so far from Brad Stevens making those moves in the offseason. Toronto, 4th. Orlando, 5th. Miami, 6th. And then it's Philly, Cleveland, Atlanta, Milwaukee. They're holding on to the slightest of edges over Chicago right now. Milwaukee's 10-15. Chicago's 9-14. OKC 23-1 yet. Is it OKC and everybody else so far in the NBA? I mean, what they're doing right now is ridiculous. 15 games in a row they have won now. Lakers 17-6. Denver 17-6. Houston, San Antonio, Minnesota to round out the top 6. Then you got Phoenix, Golden State, Memphis, and Portland. Mavericks, Jazz just half game back from that final spots against Portland and for Portland's. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, but yeah, I can't. Maybe like even a week ago or a couple weeks ago, it looked like that Celtics game was going to be, all right, maybe a winnable game, but not the way they're playing right now. Man. So, all right. So coming up tomorrow, we are at the halfway mark of this work week. So what do we got on the dockets? Well, Packers will be back at practice tomorrow. So also, it is a Am I Wrong? Am I Wrong? Come up with your Am I Wrong bold statements, sports statements. It's a wild card Wednesday where you, the listener, can be producer for the day. Think about a topic that you want to throw out to the rest of our armchair MVPs that you think would be a good topic to discuss and have a good maybe debate, banter, or conversation about. So that's your homework assignment. Okay. It's Wild Card Wednesday. Throw out some topics out there. Also, we might scheduled to appear around 9 o'clock tomorrow. We'll chat with our good friend Rob Domofsky, who covers the Packers for ESPN.com. So Rob will be joining us around 9, scheduled to appear if all things work out. So put that on your calendars and your reminders. Always fun to catch up with Rob, and it'll be a good time to catch up with him too, as coming off that Bears game and then the final 4 games of the season. So that's coming your way, coming at you tomorrow. So already going to be halfway through the week here. Don't forget to follow the Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page so you can participate in that post-class Samir 715 Speaks poll question. We usually post them up the night before. So we'll have another one scheduled to appear a little bit later on today. So, all right, that shot clock is going to cut me off here at about 4 seconds. So big thanks for hanging out this morning. Reminder, with the weather that's scheduled to be here, stay tuned to our website in case there is any school closings or delays tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. See you then.